Hey guys, welcome back to another reading. This week, this reading is special because this is themed for Suga or Yoongi from BTS. It is his birthday on the 9th. Now, of course, if you're watching this and it's not the 9th, this is a timeless reading, but this is all about Yoongi and this is all about your shadow. So basically, this is going to be all about your shadow. What is your shadow all about? What can it tell us? And then some advice from your guides. And then, of course, we have some handmade oracles. And I'm going to hold up these and let you know these are all lyrics from Yoongi's song Shadow, which is off of one of the BTS albums. But we have a little rundown of who Yoongi is that we'll go into after I show you these piles. Now, we want to start this out, of course, with our usual spiel, which is basically you come here for a reading and we never want you to come out of here feeling worse or feeling upset. And so we want you to know that you need to take everything with a grain of salt and make sure that you're being discerning and that you are taking only what resonates. If something doesn't feel right for you, then it's probably not right. Now, of course, trust your intuition, trust your guidance, and know that whatever pile you pick, if you're feeling drawn to it, you're drawn to it for a reason, but not all of the messages in that pile may fit for you. But, obviously there might be some stuff in there that does. So just take what feels good for you and then leave out all of the rest. But of course, before we get started, we want to thank your guides and our guides for allowing for us to read for you today and to tap into your shadow and to kind of see what's going on in there. The shadow can be a heavier topic. So of course, if you are feeling really sensitive or if you are feeling down, don't hesitate to reach out to somebody for help. If you need to, you can always talk to a licensed therapist or psychologist. We are not licensed physicians and we are not able to give you actual advice, like legally give you advice, but we can give you a little bit of a rundown. These readings are just for, they're for quote unquote entertainment purposes only. But of course, we hope that you find some sort of comfort in the messages that we read to you as well, as these are coming from your guides. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to introduce all of the piles to you, and then I'm going to do the spiel about who Yoongi is and what he's all about. So we're going to start with pile 1. And these are all lyrics from Shadow, which is his song. And pile 1 says, I want to be the rap star. I want to be the top. I want to be a rock star. I want it all mine. I want to be rich. I want to be the king. I want to be me. I want to be. And then, of course, I'll show you the tarot decks too, or at least the back of them. Pile 1 is Mystic Mondays. If you choose pile 2, it is, I'm afraid flying high is terrifying. No one told me how lonely it is up here. I can leap in the air, but also plunge. And now I know running away could be an option to pause. And then that one is the Villains Tarot deck. Pile 3 is the moment I'm flying high as I wished. My shadow grows in that blasting stark light. Please don't let me shine. Don't let me down. Don't let me fly. And then the tarot deck for that is the Intuitive Night Goddess Tarot. And then the last pile 4, is Do You Finally Get It? That giving it your best effort every time is what it means to do your best. And then for that one, we have the Weaver Tarot, which is super pretty. Okay, so those are the piles. So of course, if you do want to skip ahead and pick your pile, go ahead. You do not have to stay for the spiel, but we kind of hope you do because we would love to introduce you to who Yoongi is. But of course, you can pick one pile, you can pick multiple piles, whatever you feel drawn to. But I'm going to go ahead and get into Yoongi. So Min Yoongi, who you see his lovely face there with his little shush finger. Min Yoongi is also known as Suga or Auguste. He is a rapper, composer, producer, and performer in South Korea. He's part of the group BTS, and he also does his own production work and solo activities on the side. He debuted on June 13th of 2013 as part of BTS, after being with Big Hit Entertainment, which is now known as HYBE, as a producer for 3 years. His music career started long before he debuted. He started writing music at age 13 and was working in a recording studio by age 17. He was part of an underground hip hop group called D-Town under the nickname Gloss, where he rapped, performed, composed, and arranged music. And he has many solo songs included in BTS's large body of work. And he personally has released 2 mixtapes entitled August D in 2016 and D2 in 2020. He has personally collaborated with tons of people, including Halsey, IU, Max, and Juice WRLD, showcasing his variety of talents and abilities. His most recent song with Juice WRLD, entitled Girl of My Dreams, debuted at number 29 on the Billboard Top 100, which was his second entry into the charts as a solo artist. His first one was for his solo song Dèche Toi. This reading is based on his song Interlude Shadow from BTS's album Map of the Soul 7, in which he discusses his shadow and his duality, along with his acceptance and acknowledgement of that shadow. We're doing this reading to celebrate his birthday, which, as I said, is on March 9th, centering it around his words and advice. Yoongi is very philosophical and has a depth unlike many people, and we want to showcase his wise and comforting soul. We hope you listen to Suga and the rest of BTS's work, and that it brings you as much healing and wisdom as it brings to us. So yes, that is all about Yoongi. Of course, there's so much more that we could say about him, but that was the summary that I could come up with to kind of keep it a little bit shorter. But basically, we hope that you are excited, and we hope that you get lots of good information, but we will join you in pile 1. If you chose pile 1, then you chose these lyrics from Shadow, which are, I want to be a rap star, I want to be the top, I want to be a rock star, I want it all mine, I want to be rich, I want to be the king, I want to be me, I want to be. So those are the lyrics that you chose. You also chose the Mystic Monday Tarot deck, if you chose this group. Now, basically this reading, if you didn't listen to the intro, this reading is all about your shadow. So this is all about the part of you that you tend to keep a little bit hidden, or that may conceal your traumas, that shadow part of you that's the darker side of yourself, and how to accept that part of yourself. Now, there are 4 different sections to this reading. So the first one is all about what your shadow is and what it wants to tell you. The second part is what your guides want you to know about your shadow. The third part is like a timing section. So it's all about timing when it comes to your shadow, maybe what shadow work you're going through, when that's going to be over, or when you're going to be going through your next phase. And we'll get kind of into that a little bit more so that it makes a little more sense while we're going through it. And then the last section, we have quotes, like little quote stickers. And then we also have handmade oracles. Some of them are quotes from Yoongi, Suga, from BTS. And then the other ones are his songs with channeled messages on them. Now, this reading is not actually about Yoongi himself. It is about your shadow, but it is inspired by Yoongi, and his birthday is actually on the 9th, which is why we're doing this right now, March 9th. But when you find this, this is a timeless reading. So if it's not March or March 9th or anywhere near that, don't worry, you still found it at the right time for you. Remember to take what resonates and leave out the rest. If it doesn't feel good, then it's probably not for you. So just know that if you need to, you can pick a different pile. Or if you want to stick with this pile, just know that there may be some information in here that's not for you, that maybe somebody else needed to hear. But of course, we'll go into that when we get there. And then, of course, with the shadow, it can be a darker subject, like I said in the intro. So if we start to get into it and you start to feel heavy, just remember that. I know, I heard it. Don't worry about it. It's not Mercury retrograde, but you know, it's fine. If you start to feel heavy, make sure that you reach out to people if you need to. We always encourage therapy. We are not licensed professionals, but we are here to give you some advice and to help you feel uplifted and comforted. Anyways, so well, and Laina's going to be doing channeled messages throughout. I'm having so many issues talking in this pile already. So I just want you to know that if you are struggling with communication right now, that could be part of your shadow. It may be that you just have some things that you feel like you can't say, or that you can't get out, or that you are blundering over your words or struggling with them. If that's the case, then welcome to your pile. But I will go ahead. I'm going to get you an archetype card to kind of tell us who your shadow is, kind of what part of you your shadow is. And then we'll get into the other oracles. We are doing live shuffling for these readings. So I just want you guys to know it might take a second. Oh my gosh, I cannot. So the shadow, and I don't know if Laina has the book out, but if she does, she can definitely read to tell us all about it.
I do have the shadow. I mean, I have shadow, yes. Yeah, you guys might be having trouble with communication. I'm sorry, I'm like 12 years old because I'm still laughing. I would almost say that you guys probably have like a sense of humor in this pile. You guys actually might even try to deflect from your shadow like with humor when you don't want to deal with it by like watching something, which there's nothing wrong with, like if you need to sometimes, do that, but you also don't want to be too avoidant of what your shadow might need to tell you, because sometimes that's how you then overcome things. Okay, let me see if I can find this in here. Oh, yep, here it is. Okay. So this is the shadow, the unspeakable, the unwelcome, and the denied. Although every card in this archetype deck has a shadow potential, this card asks us to delve into the qualities of the shadow itself. We often think that the shadow can be purified, illuminated, and made right through effort and achievement. However, it is typically the case that our lofty pursuit of ascension and perfection is the very source of the shadow's material itself. By rejecting parts of ourselves in the world, we begin to separate from the whole rather than getting to know the qualities and content of our shadow. We busy sorry, I just a minute getting started laughing. Okay. We busy ourselves with avoiding its presence. This is denial. When this card appears, it is time to take inventory of those things you've been denying. When the mind responds with, no, anything but that, you are touching shadow. Find support for this deep inner work and move toward the shadow with patience and compassion. When light, this is revealing unconscious aspects of the self and the world. And when dark, denying unconscious aspects of the self and the world. If you want to go deeper, you should read Owning Your Shadow by R. Johnson. And it says, contemplate the following scientific observation. The closer an object, a person, place, or community is to the light, the longer the shadow it casts. And then it says, in the shadow of the gods are the very gods themselves. Reflect on this statement by James Hillman in a blue fire. What do you despise about yourself? By answering, you move towards the shadow. So that's a very deep question. One thing that I want to address right away is that for me personally, with I consider myself a fairly intelligent person. I don't think I'm completely head empty, no thoughts. Though I can say after the panini that I have become a lot more head empty, no thoughts, which has been very frustrating. I have, as I heard someone on TikTok call it, poo-poo brain now a lot more often. But I can say that sometimes these bigger concepts, they can kind of go over my head. And I think that the shadow can be one of them. And I did a little bit of re-educating on myself with the shadow before we decided to do this reading, because I knew that I was really confused. And I think the reason that it's so confusing is because the shadow and the ego and the soul, they're all not tangible objects. You can't pick it up and learn about it and dissect it. Not exactly. And so the thing about the shadow is that there's so many different definitions, specifically between Jung and Freud. They had not completely different, but similar, but also different at the same time. Don't quote me on this, but I know one of them believed that the shadow was just the unconscious in whole. So when you dream, what it was just the unconscious, completely. And then one of them thought it was the part that the parts of yourself that you hide. But also that there was still light to the shadow as well. And then I believe one of them also believed that the shadow was also the collective unconscious. So there's just a lot of layers to the shadow. And I kind of liked that this explanation touched on that for you guys, because it said, like rather than getting to know the qualities and content of our shadow, we busy ourselves with avoiding its presence. And this is denial. So this, the shadow in general, regardless of what you believe, is denial, because our dreams tend to be things that we're not facing in reality. And then if you look at the other person's definition, he talks about the things that are in the unconscious that we don't talk about. So I find that really fascinating. So I think that's the simplest statement, and I really like that to describe shadow. Like, that is denial. So it's the things that, like, when someone says, and it about yourself. We're not going to be telling you anything that you don't already know on some level about yourself. So if for example, that you get grumpy, right? And someone's like, you're grumpy. And you're like, no, I'm not grumpy at all. Why would you say that? Like, that's your shadow, because you're uncomfortable with the fact that you could be perceived as a grumpy person. But then you have, that part of you that's the denial that you need to accept. And like it said here, when what do you despise about yourself? And by answering this, you move towards the shadow. And I feel like as a person, because does that say the seeker? Or does it say it says the selkie. Okay, I thought it said the seeker.
Oh, it's the silence.
Oh, oops. Okay, well, I can't read, sorry. But actually that still makes sense with what I was gonna say. I feel like you guys are observers with like the silence there. And I feel that you want to know more about your shadow. And I think you guys do a pretty decent job of kind of embracing it. But there are still aspects of yourself that you're trying to, deny. And that's hard, because I think we all do that. But I think you guys actually, I feel, have a really good handle on your shadow. And you probably actually, I feel like, kind of show other people about their shadow, because I feel like you do a lot of deep thinking about yourself. I'm like, okay, like, how can I improve? But it's funny because it also talks about how trying to improve and aim for perfection brings us closer to the shadow at the same time. So I think it's less about improving and more about accepting. Like, you are in the process of, or you are starting to accept like all the parts of yourself. And even like if you think about when Bekah like flubbered earlier with her words, like I think in the past, if that's something that you struggled with, you would get really embarrassed and overwhelmed and be like, like, don't make fun of me, like if someone was laughing. But now you've learned to like laugh with them and be like, oh my gosh, it's so silly that I flubbered on my words like that. And I think that's actually really cool.
Okay, I'm gonna read your cards to you since I didn't hold them up yet. So the first one is radical honesty, which says to believe in the facade is to suffocate in the armor of alienation, self-defeat, and self-denial. You have the silence. You have assessing, which is first quarter moon. You have my cat. You have number 23, which is panacea, which is there's a solution for every problem. You have number 20, which is downcast pride. You have reflect. And then you have enlightenment. So a lot of these cards actually go like perfectly with each other. For me, really with your shadow, I think the thing that's really coming through is that there might be a part of you that doesn't want to get into a place of inner depth. So when you have questions, I think that you want to keep things very surface level, or you try to. When there may be some answers to things that are deeper down. And it might be that sometimes you feel a little afraid to explore it because it may be a little different, or you may be afraid that you'll be wrong, or maybe you'll get in there and like it'll be overwhelming. But I think that it's very interesting because, like Laina said, it feels like you have a decent grasp on your shadow. But I feel like you're someone who's radically honest. And I think sometimes it may be scary to go into that depth because you're afraid to be so radically honest with yourself. And I think it's because you're afraid of what lies on the other end of that. Because if you're radically honest with yourself, you'll get the answer. And maybe because you already know what those answers are, they scare you a little bit because maybe they're not the thing that you think is the most logical or makes the most sense, but it's the thing that feels the best for you. And so you might butt heads a little bit with that. But overall, I think for the most part, you do a very good job. I think you do go in there and you assess and you do really listen to yourself but I think that that's where that shadow lies. Now, I think you've probably done a lot of work to get to where you are now, but it's taken a lot of reflection and a lot of time alone and a lot of time in silence, a lot of time getting to know who you are, being radically honest with yourself, and allowing yourself to really be enlightened to what it is that you're afraid of and what it is that you like to keep hidden, what you don't like to share with everybody else. And I think part of that has to do with your pride. So you have this downcast pride, which basically makes me think that you might be someone who's very hard on yourself if you have an answer that's not correct, or you make a choice that ultimately maybe it benefits you, but it doesn't necessarily benefit everybody. Or maybe it's a choice that's really difficult and you don't really want to make the choice, but you have to and you do. And I feel like you might be somebody who feels like you lay a lot out on the line just by being who you are. And so sometimes it's very hard for you to either A, feel pride in who you are and feel pride in the way that you've gotten to where you are now. And you might feel afraid to share who you are, or you have a shadow that is very prideful at times. And sometimes that pride can get hurt, whether that's because you do go with the answer that seems, most logical or whatever. But either way, I feel like Laina and I both said, like, you have a very good grasp on your shadow already. And so even though that's there, and even though it always will be, because your shadow is always a part of you, even though that's still there for you, you're very good at assessing it, at going through it, at making sure that you are listening to it. And the thing that Yoongi actually says in a lot of quotes is that you really have to learn how to integrate with your shadow. You have to accept it for what it is and know that it's a part of you forever. And that's when you actually go through that healing. And that's when you actually go through the release and through the understanding, the maturing, and into a place where it's not so dark, is when you accept yourself for who you are, shadow and all. And I feel like that's somewhere that you either are already, is that integration point, and you've already started to integrate it, or you're somebody who's coming up to that point now and coming up to that place of understanding, and you are actively doing your shadow work and actively sitting there and trying to reflect and to find that enlightenment and going within and taking that time to be in the silence with your shadow. And I feel like that's very inspiring. And I think that for this group, you deserve a round of applause, and you should know that it's very hard to work with your shadow, and that at least I know that I'm proud of you if you're someone who is in this reading right now, because of how much work it's showing that you've gone through to get here.
Yeah, Spirit says that you guys, like from what I'm hearing, is that you guys are not someone to shy away from it's not the dirty work, but you're not one to shy away from the situation, at least not anymore. So if you see something that, like in other words, like say that you see a shadow work exercise and you're like, oh, that really calls to me, I want to try that. Like, you're actually someone that will then put that into practice. Like, you won't just like look at it and go like, oh, okay, later, and then save it for later. Like, you might not do it right that moment, but it'll be on your mind so that you go back to it, or you just are very aware of your you're very aware of your own humanness. So like, while I think that pride that you have is, it's the same thing of that, like the blessing and, the curse of, like, yes, the curse part of it can be that sometimes your pride can overinflate and like get the ego all riled up. But the blessing side of it is that your shadow is very well aware of, you seeing that and being like, okay, I see that I have trouble accepting this part of myself, that I can be prideful. And then once you do accept that part of yourself, you can be prideful. That pride, like that egotistical part of the pride, goes away, and it leaves like the purest part of pride, which is really neat.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree with that. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to go into tarot. So the tarot is going to tell us what your guides want you to know as far as what happened, when it comes to your shadow. And I do want to say that every single one of these piles has different cards, because I won't be putting them back in the deck, just so that you are aware if you were drawn to another pile. make sure that you check that out too. But I feel like this group is pretty solid. So, okay. So for you guys, you chose the Mystic Mondays deck. So we're going to go ahead and see what your guides want you to know about your shadow. And while I do that, if Laina has any channel messages, she can say those too.
I just have a few. We have Yellow Ribbon, Jekyll and Hyde, Orange Blossoms, Black Mirror by One Us, and then Hades and the River of Styx.
Oh my God, guys. Fast.
Gotta go fast.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. We'll do one more. Oh. Get that up here. Oh, okay. Make sure. I know that the camera is tilted slightly, so I'm gonna like try to get these as straight as possible. Okay, we'll do one more and then we'll do bottom of the deck. Okay. Well, I guess you get extra cards because they said that one too. Oh my gosh. Okay, yeah. Guys, really? Like, I don't even know what to say to you guys except for your guides are super happy with you right now. Okay, so we start over here. We have the Four of Pentacles, we have the Chariot, we have the Eight of Wands, we have the Hermit, the Four of Wands, Three of Cups, the Three of Pentacles, and at the bottom of the deck, we have the Ten of Cups. Whew, that's a lot of energy. Okay, so you have a couple major arcana in here, which is really good because that tells me that you are on path, on par, and that there's some important life events going on right now. So basically with the Four of Pentacles, this can be a card that's about holding on. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing, but when I read this in a shadow reading, I feel like you're moving away from this energy. So for me, this Four of Pentacles tells me that maybe you've been in a place where you felt you had to hang on to something or you had to be stuck in a situation for a long time because you were holding on to something, and you're coming away from that very quickly because the Chariot is forward motion. It's moving very, very fast into the future. That's why she's got her arms up and she's like, oh my gosh, yes, I'm going. And then you have the Eight of Wands, which is speedy communication, fast moving. It's very fiery, and it's right after the Chariot. So I feel like wherever you're going, there's a lot of communicating, a lot of interaction, a lot of back and forth between you and either somebody else or through your guides or with your shadow. You have the Hermit, which is about going inward, looking inward. And I think that there's a balance here because you have the Four of Wands, which normally I would say is like the marriage celebration card, which I think it is a celebration because you also have the Three of Cups. But for me, this is all about a strong foundation for you. And I feel like because you've gone within and because you've done a lot of work, that's why you're moving forward and you're starting to move into this place of being able to balance the time you spend with others with yourself, like with your own personal private time. And I feel like actually this should probably be over here because I feel like these all kind of go around the Four of Wands because this is what your foundation is. You have these three sections of your life that you've balanced out, you've worked through, and you know how to integrate them into your life in a way that makes you feel comfortable. And so with that, you're coming away from wherever this four was, this place where you felt you had to hold on to something, whether that be finances, friendships, or relationship, your job, whatever it is that you've been leaving behind. That's what's helping you create this stable balance between all these areas in your life. And it could even be that you're leaving behind ideas. It could be philosophies. It could be the way that you've always worked with your shadow. It could be that you've gone through an ego death. So there's many different options as to what you're leaving behind. But regardless, it's a good thing that you're leaving this behind and moving forward. And I know for the collective, there's a lot about how we've been leaving things behind that we no longer need for the past, I don't know, like 6 months. So with everything that's going on in astrology, it makes sense to me that you're in this place now where you're like, I'm letting go and I'm just going to go forward. and I'm going to see where it takes me. And the thing is it's taking you to the 10 of Cups. So because you have this strong foundation that's built around you balancing these things between the time that you need to go inward, the time that you need to nurture yourself and to really, take that self-care and to really spend that time with your shadow and your ego, integrating all of that, accepting it, and letting yourself have those days where maybe it's a little bit harder. You've learned with that how to also spend time with people that you love, to celebrate your accomplishments, to do things together that make you feel connected. And then you are also balancing that with work, with making sure that you are collaborating with not only, your workmates, your coworkers, but with spirit, with your guides, with your family. You're putting it all together, and it's giving you this really stable, solid foundation. And that's what's bringing you into this place of ultimate happiness, this place of feeling so emotionally fulfilled that, all parts of you are seen, all parts of you are heard, potentially even for those of you that want a family, for those of you that want a significant other, that want that dream job. All of that is held within this. Wherever you're going, it's bringing you to a place of complete and utter emotional fulfillment, and it's doing it very, very quickly. I wouldn't be surprised if this group is currently getting manifestations that you've been manifesting for a long time, or you start seeing them show up within the next 6 months or so.
Mm-hmm. I definitely agree with that wholeheartedly. I only got a couple more channel messages for you guys so far, which I got Raven, Chocolate Milk, and then Jack and Jill, the nursery rhyme.
Interesting. Okay, so the next thing that we have for you guys is astrology. So we're going to look and see maybe some timing, maybe what's coming, some things as far as your shadow goes. Now, for you guys, I feel like a lot of it's going to be about what's coming for you and not so much about timing with your shadow, because like I said, and like Laina said, we feel like you already have a pretty good grasp on your shadow. So we'll get some cards for that. Okay, so I'm gonna start with these. Okay, then. All right, so you have Ya Destiny, which is number 48. Next. Get you one more. These ones. Okay, and then you have South Node, Life's Debts. Okay. And then I'm super excited. I haven't gotten to use these yet. These are the Star Codes Astro cards. So I'm pumped to use these because they're beautiful.
You can never have too many astrology decks.
No. 8th house mystery. Yes, this is definitely the house of your shadow. It's number 46. You have a lot of 40 numbers. So you have 48, 42, 46. So 40s might be important. And then you have Midheaven, number 36, which is Pinnacle. Okay. And you a Moonology card. Oh, yeah. You have A New Start is Coming.
Yay!
Just to show you the bottom of the deck, they said they just want to show you for the astrology sign is Work Through Your Fears, New Moon in Scorpio. Okay, get you 2 of the Astro Soul deck. Okay, you have the Moon, which is emotion, instincts, receptivity, and safety. Get you one more of those. Oh man, yes. And then you have Trine, which is 120 is because they're 120 degrees apart from each other. These aspects are. It's fluency, ease, talent, development, privilege, aptitude, self-comfort, temper, laziness, and intelligence. The bottom of the deck is the sun, just so that you know. And then I'll get you 2 of the fixed star cards. Okay. Oh my gosh. Okay. You have, this is Pisces and Cancer energy, and it's glorification and invocation, which is success is determined by your mindset. Treat your journey with patience, which I feel like you guys have been pretty patient, especially if you've been diving into that shadow, like we said.
I want to say this message that's coming through from your guides while Bekah shuffles the last card, but they said that the reason that like you're getting like, because you might be kind of for some of you in like a little bit of a disarray or like a disconnect is kind of what I'm feeling, like seeing all these good messages and kind of like maybe just a little bit doubtful, like really, like I'm really getting that new start, and Spirit's like, yes, like you have actually put in the work, and it's not because of like you worked really really hard, and like of course we're, you know, like because I think we're in a state in the world of like where we think that we have to break our backs, right, to get like what's, you know, quote unquote owed to us, like, and that's not true. Like it really ends up becoming about like when you, and this is what your guides are telling me, is that because you accepted and loved yourself for exactly who you are, and you've become really comfortable with who you are, not only the parts of yourself that you like, but the parts of yourself that you don't like, that is why these blessings are coming in for you, and why this transformation is in your destiny, and everything is aligning and the karma is being paid. Because people who can truly accept themselves, they can open themselves up a lot easier than someone who is still really struggling to accept part of who they are. And because you guys are so willing to embrace every aspect of yourself from A to Z, that is creating this new start, the easy flow of a trine for you guys. You know, that like you guys, to me, they're kind of showing me like someone that's cradling a, you know, like a baby, you know, that's nurturing this like newborn who needs love and care and attention. And like that can go to your inner child too. I don't think it's just your shadow that you've worked with. I think you've learned to work with your inner child. I think you've learned to work with your ego. I think you've learned to work with your higher self, whether it's conscious or unconscious. You've learned to accept and really listen to yourself. And that's why all of these like great like blessings and things are really aligning for you. So like Bekah said, you guys really do deserve that round of applause and should be really proud of yourselves for all that you've accomplished. And, you know, give yourself a break and don't always feel like, oh, I'm not there yet, or I'm not, you know, I'm still working on it. Like we all are. We're always a work in progress. And like Spirit said, you guys are the people that know that shadow work and all that stuff is never done, but you're also willing to accept that and willing to accept the ebbs and flows of life, which is really neat. Very 8th house of you.
For real though. I just wanted to point out, I said Pisces. This is totally Gemini, by the way. Just thought I'd point that out. Because this is Pisces. So you got harvest and culmination, which is keep faith in the journey. For one day you will look back just to realize how content you are, which I think just makes a ton of sense for you guys. And I totally agree with what Laina was saying. Like, if you're looking at this right now and you're like, I don't know, man, like, I feel like I still have more work to do. No, like you're always going to have work when it comes to your shadow, because it's always going to be there. But you've learned how to accept it for what it is. And that's really important, because now that you've accepted it, like Laina said, you're integrating it. Even though it's going to come back up at times, even though it could be triggered at times, even though you might have to go back in there and work through some stuff at some point when things start shifting and changing, that doesn't mean that you haven't done the work. It doesn't mean you don't need to celebrate now. And it doesn't mean that things can't come into your life right now, because they can and they're going to. So I'm going to break down kind of where I think these are going to come into play. Mostly right now, I'm seeing a lot about work. So your midheaven is on the cusp of your 10th house. The midheaven tells us your work life. So where do you work? What do you do for work? What's your destiny? And it's not the North Node. The North Node tells you exactly what your destiny is, but your midheaven is kind of like what's your niche when it comes to working and career. And I feel like you are coming to a place in your career where you're really aligned with that midheaven. You're aligned with your destiny overall. And so that's bringing in a lot of new things, a lot of new starts, a lot of new beginnings. And that might mean that some things have had to end, of course, because you have the eighth house, because the eighth house is about death and rebirth. And you do have the South Node. The thing about the South Node is I don't see it as just life's debts. Yes, that can be linked to your past life karma. It can be linked to things that you need to move away from and move towards your North Node in this life. But it can also be about your talents and your gifts. And I feel like that goes great with Destiny in the midheaven, because I feel like you've been transforming in a way that allows you to really see what your talents and your gifts actually are. And now you're starting to show them. You're starting to be able to put them out into the world. And if you haven't started to do this yet, this is where you're going. This is what's coming for you, is an ability to tap into those resources that you already have and to really align yourself with your purpose, with your destiny, with what feels good for you. And that's what's bringing this new start, because you're actually listening to yourself, listening to your shadow, listening to your ego, listening to that inner part of yourself. And one thing I want to preface with the ego is not all bad. We did a reading on the ego for Hobie's birthday a couple weeks ago. So if you haven't watched it, I highly recommend that you do, because the ego is not a bad thing. The ego keeps you safe. Now, of course, egos need to be checked sometimes, because they can give in to fear and they can tell you things that are false in order to try to keep you safe, even though that doesn't work. So, there's a difference there, but your ego isn't a bad thing to listen to sometimes, because it tells you what you're afraid of, and it tells you what you feel needs to keep you safe. So that's something that you've been listening to as well. And you've been transforming all of this. And that's beautiful, because you're listening to your emotions, you're listening to your instincts, and to the things that make you feel good now. And that's bringing you glorification, harvest, culmination, fluency, your talents, your self comfort, privileges. All of that stuff is coming into play right now. And you're really leaning into your trines, leaning into those talents, leaning into the things that really make you stand out. And it's bringing you all of the stuff that you've been trying to manifest. And it might not all come at once, and it might not all come in super fast, because you still have that mention of patience over here. But I feel like you have been patient for a while. And so it's time that those things come in for you, because you've processed enough of the work that you deserve that reward now. And you're probably always going to be in this eighth house energy. They did make me show you the Scorpio card, so I wouldn't be surprised if you have Scorpio in your chart somewhere very heavy, either a very important placement or very heavy in your chart. So you're going to be somebody that constantly goes through transformation. There's going to be a lot of death and rebirth in your life, but it's always for the better. And I think that you'll see that it keeps getting easier and easier and easier the more that you acknowledge the shadow, the more that you integrate it into your life. And that's a really beautiful energy, because it just means that you're really allowing to receive the things that are meant for you, and really allowing yourself to stay aligned with your destiny, even if it's scary sometimes.
Mm-hmm. I definitely agree with that. I do not currently have any more channel messages for you guys. I think they really wanted us to kind of focus on the cards. I kind of feel like this reading is going to be a little light on channel messages, just because we're going to be really focusing on the cards and like the energy that we pick up. I was getting a lot more like actual just direct quotes from your guides to say to you guys, which is what I have been saying. So most of all, they just want you to know that like they're just so proud of all the work that you've put in, and to just keep going. Like, you're doing it. You're living the best that you can. And, on the days that you don't feel like you're doing your best, it's okay to rest. It's okay to take a break. It's okay to be like, yeah, I'm tired today. Let that be okay.
Yes. And I feel like it's really interesting, because the quote that you chose is the one that keeps continually saying, I want to be, I want to be, I want to be. And I feel like you have a lot of really big dreams. And I feel like you're somebody who would be really good with things like affirmations, or with things like saying out loud what it is that you're trying to manifest, or what it is that you really want out of life. Reminding yourself where you're going and where you've come from are both really important for this group. We're going to do, so this is a little different, because usually we do regular stickers, But because I think that Yoongi is so wise and he uses a lot of words, I decided to get out my word stickers, which I have a little box here. I say little, but it's really not that little. There's a lot in here, but we're going to do word stickers. And so these are going to give us some words of advice or maybe some encouragement, just a little bit about some stuff that, you know, maybe you need to hear. It could even give you a little bit of confirmation because some of these just have just some things that some of them have names, some of them have quotes. So we'll just see. Some of them have time frames. Okay. And then we'll get into the oracles. But we have, okay, there is nothing like a dream to create the future. And this pile I feel is very big dreamers. Okay, it says, no beauty shines brighter than that of a good heart. Yes. You can do anything, but not everything. Yeah, so that kind of goes back to like taking breaks when you need to take a break and knowing that it's okay if you can't do everything all at the same time. Just know to take your time and to listen to what feels good. You have, it's the little things that make life big. Celebrate your little accomplishments too. Stronger than yesterday.
Hi, Britney Spears.
I know. Adventure awaits you. What makes me think of Up.
Oh.
Good movie. There is beauty in simplicity. You can't really see that one because of the lighting. Never doubt your instinct. I feel like that's super important for this group because you had a card in your astrology that said something about instincts. So I feel like you really need to trust your gut and know that you have your own back and that you're safe. Merry and bright. This is a Christmas sticker, so maybe Christmas time is important for you. Or maybe this is just kind of your outlook right now, like you're trying to be cheerful and bright. And remember that you don't always have to be merry and bright. That's one thing. You can be upset or down or have emotions that are not high. I'm what we call an emotional man gen in human design. And emotional man gens, basically people who have an emotional authority. Thank you. It was like the word's not coming. Those who have an emotional authority have what we call waves. And so what that means is they have an up and a down, and they have to learn how to ride those waves and recognize when they're in an up and when they're in a down. And then they have to accept when they're at that place. And so if you ever feel like you are somebody that tends to be emotional, where sometimes you'll feel really, really great and sometimes you'll feel really, really not great, just know that it's okay to feel that way at either of those times and you don't have to change it. So if you're feeling down, if you're feeling upset, don't force yourself to be merry and bright. But if you are feeling merry and bright at any point in time, regardless of what's going on around you, then allow yourself to feel that way. You have hopes and dreams. And then the last little one of these is the beauty of the day.
Cute.
Yes, so maybe those gave you a little bit of confirmation. There's a lot about finding beauty in the everyday and knowing that each day you're making progress and that you need to trust your instincts, basically. Okay. Does Laina have any final messages before I get into the handmade oracles?
That song by Christina Aguilera, the one that's like, I am beautiful, that song. Specifically the line about like words can't bring me down. So like if you need to kind of again have that reminder, like if any time you feel like even if there are words towards yourself or you get words from people that sometimes can sting you, just knowing that those are not supposed to bring you down, that you are more than those words. And then like Bekah said, I really do think that affirmations could be really helpful for you. You might be able to manifest through affirmations. So in other words, because the more that you believe and reaffirm that affirmation, the more you're going to attract those things to you. So for example, like I am lovable, I am powerful, I am strong, I am this, I am that. Like you're going to like, I am abundant. I attract money to me easily. Money loves me. Like, you know, those things like that, because he had some career stuff too. Opportunities always find me. When you affirm those things, I think for you guys, it's extremely powerful. And then last two messages, aside from that, are James and the Giant Peach and then Tim Burton movies.
Yes. I almost chose Nightmare Before Christmas Tarot for this group. So I just want to throw that out there. That could be important for you. Another thing is if you're Yoongi, for instance, if you want to see, like, if you want to use Yoongi as an example, he would say, I am a rap star. I am the top. I am a rock star. I have it all. I am rich. I am the king. I am me. Like, those would be his affirmations. So if that gives you kind of an idea. So even though he's saying, like, I want to be, he could change that into an affirmation at any point in time. And so when you say things like, I want XYZ, you could say, I have XYZ or I am XYZ, and that can really help you. Okay, so each of these cards, you'll get 3 of. These ones have Yoongi songs, and then they have channel messages. So you still get a lot of channel messages regardless. And then these all have actual quotes from Yoongi himself. They're all pretty deep because he's a very wise and deep person, but you get 3 of each. So go ahead and shuffle you out. And these are different for every group. So just, again, a little incentive. If you were feeling called to a different group, you'll get different cards. Okay, 1. 2 more, please. Okay. 2. They're being very picky about the last one. There it is. Okay. And then we'll get you 3 of these. One more. It's always the last card for this group. There we go. It's like they really pick them for you. Okay. So we'll start. I'll actually start with the quotes first. See if I can get these open. So the first one is, reality was different. Even when my peer tried to keep me, I walked to the lightless tunnels on my own, which I feel is very fitting for this group. I feel like you have done a lot on your own, even though people might have tried to sway you one way or the other. You have, do you really have to live passionately? Is it really related to happiness? If accomplishing gives happiness to you, you may live passionately. But if you feel happiness from the gentle things, you don't have to. And then falling might be scary, but landing is not. Which I think fit this group a lot, because I feel like with this group, part of that whole pride situation, or part of the reason why you might have struggled with reflecting and going into the depths, like I said earlier, was that you may have been afraid of falling. Like if you find an answer and you feel like you have to follow that instinct, it might be scary because you don't know where it's going to land or where you're going to end up. But falling is scary, but landing is not. And then as far as like passionately, if you're somebody who is very chill, which I think this group probably is, you don't have to live passionately. You can just enjoy life for what it is without having to force yourself to find passion. And that's kind of what he's talking about. If you like the gentle things, you don't have to live passionately. Like you can live with passion, of course, if accomplishing, if being in that high energy of accomplishment is what makes you happy, then of course. But if you're okay with doing the gentle things and that makes you happy, that's okay too. And then as far as like, you're going to do whatever is right for you, regardless of what anybody else says. And you're going to go into that darkness and continue to work through that regardless of what else is going on around you. And I think that that's really brave and really beautiful.
Into the unknown.
Yes. So we're going to get the songs. So these songs, I did not put lyrics from the songs. I just picked the songs and then did channel messages based on the song itself. So you have Intro Nevermind, which is off of one of the albums of BTS. I don't remember which one, but this is his song. It says Smoke Clouds, Incense, Dyslexia, Eraser by Ed Sheeran, The Moon, Paper Punch, 5, Whiteout, 79, Dogs, 10, Music Box, Ballet, Degas, like the painter, Degas, Art Museum, Saxophone, Jean Pockets, Pisces, Kanga, Winnie the Pooh, Lepidolite, Moondust, Carbon, and Newspaper.
The album is Those Beautiful Moments in Life Part 2.
Yes, there you go. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Moonlight, which is Cancer, the number 4, Lighthouse, Lover by Taylor Swift, Civil War, Cottage, Fresh Baked Bread, 1111, Floral Patterns, Constellations, Wishing Well, Ireland, Tinctures, Perfume, Iridescent, Hot Baths, Silly String, Gardening, Fog, Barefoot, Tulip Fields, and Sheep.
I read that Wishing Well is Wishing Hell, and I was like, what is Wishing Hell?
No. Oh, my favorite. You're going to laugh at this one because the first channel message is hilarious. So you got, I'm not going to show it to Laina yet. You got Trivia, Seesaw.
I love that song.
And the first channel message is Cheesecake.
Yeah, no, I should have said it. I was about to be like, all right, she dropped the cheesecake.
Yes. So sorry, Yoongi, if you ever see this. We played into that meme. Cheesecake, Cherry, Picnic, Summer, Big Tree, Green, Spring Day by BTS. Amelie, which is a movie. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. It's a French film. You should watch it. Diner, Pancakes, If You Give a Mouse a Cookie, Amsterdam, 44, Sprinkler, Wildflowers, Taurus, Mercury, Ants, Katamari Damacy, which is a video game that I absolutely love. I'll talk about it in a second. And then GameCube, Katamari Damacy. Okay, this is one of my favorite games of all time, and it's absolutely ridiculous. Like, this game is the most ridiculous game I've ever played, but it's so much fun. Basically, you are this like prince of the universe, and your dad, the king of the universe, throws a party and messes up all of the planets. And so your job is to go to Earth and to roll up as much stuff as you can into a ball so that you can remake the planets. Absolutely ridiculous, but it's so much fun. Anyways, that's my little Katamari Damacy summary in 2 seconds. It's a little more than that, but it's very, very fun. It's the first one I think is on PlayStation 2. So if you have a PlayStation 2, I strongly encourage you to find that game. It could be really fun. It could get you out of your head, or it may be a game that you really love. Regardless, great game. Anyways, so hopefully those messages gave you some information. They gave you some comfort and some confirmation. But that's what we had for you. Again, your guides are super proud of you, and we're super thankful to them and to your ancestors for allowing us to read for you today, for allowing us to tap into your energy and to look at your shadow and kind of get in there in the nitty gritty. But hopefully that gave you lots of good messages. If you want to, you can check out one of the other piles, leave us a like, a comment, hit subscribe. We have a playlist down below. We always do. All of our social medias are linked down below. If you want to, you can reach out to us. But if you, I think that's all I had for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
So, bye, guys. See you next time or in another pile. If you chose pile 2, then you chose this quote from Interlude Shadow, which is, I'm afraid flying high is terrifying. No one told me how lonely it is up here. I can leap in the air, but also plunge. Now I know running away could be an option too. Pause. So these are lyrics from Yoongi's song Shadow, which is what this reading is based on. So basically, this is all about your shadow, which is the darker side of yourself, the side or the things that you don't necessarily like or that you are triggered by, things that are kind of buried deep within that maybe you don't want others to see, things that kind of follow you around or are a little heavy. Now, this is going to be a 4-part reading. So the first part is all about your shadow. What is your shadow? What is it trying to tell you? What does it say? The second part is tarot, and that's going to tell you all about what your guides want you to know about your shadow. The third part is astrology, and that's going to tell us timing as far as when it comes to your shadow, maybe some things that are coming in the next few months, what to keep a lookout for. And then the last part, we have these little quote stickers, which are a little different than what we normally do with our stickers, but we have those. And then we also have handmade oracle cards. Now, because you chose group 2, you also have a unique tarot deck. Each group has a different tarot deck, and this one has the Disney Villains deck, which I thought was super fitting for shadows because all of the villains are seen as bad or dark characters, but you know, a lot of them have a lot of depth to them. So we picked that. Now, I want to start this reading off by saying thank you to your guides and ancestors for allowing us to read for you and for tapping into your energy. My nose is itching like crazy in this pile. I don't know why. I don't know what that means. I have no idea. But if your nose is itching, I feel it. Maybe you have allergies. I'm not sure. But it was fine until this pile. The other thing about this pile is you feel very tense. So take a minute to maybe relax your shoulders and relax your face, release your jaw, don't clench it. Allow yourself to kind of just relax into your body, because I feel very strongly that this group maybe has a lot on their shoulders right now. So I just wanted to put that out there. Now, of course, remember to take what resonates. If it makes you feel bad or it doesn't make you feel good, just remember that not all messages are going to be for you. Take the messages that feel that they're correct for you. If you've been working on things and we're telling you like, oh, this is something that you need to work on, or, you know, this is XYZ about your shadow, just remember that there are different people at different places in their journey. So if you've been working on something, just, you know, this could be confirmation that you've been working on it. So just take everything as it resonates. If you were attracted to another pile, of course, please check out that pile. Each one has different stuff. Some different cards, of course, different oracles, different tarot deck, different vibe. So if there was another one you're attracted to, there could be messages in that one for you as well. And then, of course, we are not licensed therapists or psychologists. Shadow work can be a very heavy topic. So if it gets too heavy, make sure that you're seeking out assistance in the ways that are healthy for you. Seek out a therapist, seek out a psychologist, maybe some medical advice if you need it. Because again, we're not licensed to give you that. But these readings are for comfort, and they are to help you feel better or to feel good or to acknowledge your shadow and help to integrate it, because that is the whole point of the shadow, is once you learn how to integrate it, you learn how to work with it instead of against it. And so that's what this is going to be all about. So we're going to go ahead and start with oracles. So this is going to tell us more about your shadow. We are doing live shuffling the whole time. So if it takes me a second to get some cards out, that would be why. Okay. And then Laina's also doing channel messages throughout. Now, the last group didn't have a ton of channel messages. So it's just going to vary by group as far as how many we get. So I just want you to keep that in mind as well, because a lot of the time with shadows, they want you to really focus on the cards. So.
Okay. So I looked up what its potential spiritual meaning is for itchy nose, and there's a couple out there. So of course you can always look up more and see what resonates for you guys. But the most common one is that you will meet someone with an itchy nose. So it says, it is said that if you have an itchy nose, it means that someone may visit you soon. The person will be unknown to you and may leave an effect on you. This can be from someone you know to a spirit guide. It says, however, the person can be either a man or a woman. You can figure this out by seeing which side of your nose is itchy. The itching on the left side represents a male visitor, whereas the itchiness on the right side indicates a female visit. Some people believe that when you experience an itch or irritation in your nose, it means that the Holy Spirit or an angel will visit you. Experiencing an itchy nose signifies that Spirit has sent an angel from above to protect you and guard you. It can be a sign that you are being watched over from above. So I thought that was pretty cool.
That is super cool. Also, they want me to take 2 of these cards, even though I did not for the last group. Okay, so I'm gonna have Laina read.
No.
what this is, which is the Destroyer, which I have Destroyer by Monsta X in my head now.
Destroyer.
So just, throwing that out there.
Oh, I found it. Okay, let me read this while Bekah shuffles up the rest of the cards. Okay, so the Destroyer, the Savage. Now I just have Yoongi going savage in his head. I mean, in my head.
Don't you know I'm a savage?
The Savage, the Unexpected, the Rejected. The Destroyer, the final of the three archetypes in the trio of existence, has a necessary yet painful work to do in the world. Culturally, we have an aversion to endings, and we hang on to permanence as a signifier of success. Yet the Destroyer pulls the rug out from underneath relationships, jobs, homes, and all forms of security. It is the part of us that wants things to end. Its painful orientation is to uncover our true purpose. The Destroyer does not let us linger long in comforts, as it knows not much happens in that realm. With its piercing eyes, it seeks out stagnancy from a distance, and the rest becomes history. In the old mist, this is a moment when heads begin to roll, the ground opens up, and castles crumble. Hold on for the ride, the Destroyer has arrived. When light, it is swift and precise, blows that redirect our life. When dark, it is self-destruction, negativity, unwillingness to rebuild. If you'd like to go deeper, you can read Robert Rauschenberg's Erased de Kooning drawing. I'm sorry, not read. I'm assuming that would be a painting. Consider Picasso's statement, every act of creation is first of all an act of destruction. And then it says, in old tales, the Destroyer sometimes appears as a black dog, like Sirius Black. The other times, it takes the form of gods and goddesses such as Shiva, Kali, and Apophis.
Wait. Hold on. This one. Okay. Sorry, they two are stuck together, so I had to figure out which one they wanted.
Destroyer. So with your guys' Destroyer card just off the bat, while she's pulling out the rest of these cards, real quick, is for me, what I get from this is that there's kind of two messages that are coming through. One is that you guys might feel that you tend to be the Destroyer, that you come into people's lives and you shake things up and you change it, and you might have even had people that have blamed you. It's like, well, you came and you messed everything up, and that's not the truth. The truth is that you could be the archetype of the Destroyer, someone that comes in to bring change, to shake up that, energy. I know that Bekah can kind of relate to this because one of her life path cards is the Tower. So that could also be for you. You could have the Tower as a life path card, which means that you're going to go through a lot of change and revolution in your life, yes, but you're also going to bring that change and revolution to other people. And so I think for you, it's about learning, for one, to surrender, let go of that control, to not have the need to always know the answer, to, not, like it said, stay in the comfort zone. That's definitely something that I think can be really difficult for you. But I also think it can be the fact that if you are hard on yourself and think, I'm the one that brings all the destruction and the wreckage to people, that Spirit is saying, no, you're actually bringing them life again, because you're helping them tear away what is no longer working for them. They're actually showing me the Phoenix, so that could be an important symbolism for you guys.
Yes, I think that makes a lot of sense. I'm actually going to read one of these cards in a second after I hold them all up, because I don't know what it means. But you have Blossoming, which is number 33. So 3 may be important. This is Flower Moon. You have both of these cards wanted to come out. You have 14, which is Wishful Expectations. Acknowledge the smoke and mirrors in your life for what they are. And then you also have Circles, which is Clarity begins in the eye of the storm. You have Orenda, which is number 22. So one thing I want to mention before I get any further is that you have a couple double repeating numbers here. So angel numbers might be important for this group. This is Honor Your Mystical Creative Force, which then was followed by Power. You have number 30, so there's a 3 again, which is Calling the Storm. You have surrender. And then this is the card I'm going to read because I don't know what it means. But you have Palomino, sorry, it's a type of horse. My bad. And I'm going to read Palomino. Let me just get to it really quick because this deck's a little bit newer, so I don't know for sure what all of them mean. Okay, Palomino. Horses are among the longest surviving companions to humanity throughout the ages. They are reliable, loyal, and hardworking creatures often associated with power, speed, and strength. A Palomino refers to a breed of golden horses found in the American West. The majestic white mane and vibrant chestnut coats of the Palomino make them stand out from other horses. They are well known for their unbridled wildness and strength of will. When Palomino comes into your world, it's time to pay attention to your needs, step up to do the work, and get those projects done. Conversely, allow yourself to step out of the stables on occasion. The Palomino also reminds us to run wild and be free to soak in the warm summer sun while we can. The meanings are allow yourself to roam free on occasion. It's time to put in the hard work to meet your goals. So there's a couple different meanings to the Palomino. But for me, I feel like this makes a lot of sense with everything that you have. I feel like your shadow is that you have a lot of power and you're very wild and free inside. And I think that you might have a tendency to try to control that. You might have a tendency to try to harness all of that and put it into a small box when it's not going to fit into the small box, basically. And so I think you have a fear that if you let the crazy wild part of you out of the box, that it's going to destroy things, or that it's going to ruin your reputation, or it's going to ruin who you are. It'll ruin the things around you. It'll ruin your relationships. It'll ruin everything. But it won't, because this is a part of you that is meant to be seen. It's meant to be shown because you're wild and free. So I feel like with this group, it's very much about acknowledging that your shadow may seem scary because it's very big, but you need to allow yourself to be big. Don't keep yourself small, because you have a lot of power. You have a lot of creative force. You have a lot of energy. And I feel like you have a lot of masculinity, yes, but this is more of a free-spirited gentleness. Like the Palomino is a horse. Horses are graceful. And the thing is you need to surrender to that, because I think you'll find that this power actually doesn't destroy things, it creates them. I feel like you'll find out that even though it can be scary to let yourself out of the box and to let who you truly are kind of show and blossom and bloom outside of yourself, that you'll find the more that you accept that, the more things that start to be created from that. And I do know, Laina said, I have the Tower as one of my cards. A lot of the time in my life, I'm here, to show people that the hard things, I'm here to break down the things that they've always known and to show them like the destruction. So basically, I'm here to help topple things that aren't working for people anymore. And I feel like you have some of that energy, but yours is more of a creative force. You're here to show people what can be created out of just being wild and free and being yourself, being unique, being different, being special. And I think that you need to look in the mirror and allow yourself to be seen to yourself. Allow yourself to really work with yourself to say, okay, I know I have all this energy. I know I have all this power. I know I'm a big person internally. Like I have a lot of emotions. I have a lot of strength. I have a lot of everything. And it's okay that I have a lot. It's okay that I am a lot, because that's who I am. And that makes me who I am. And I need to share that. I was watching a TikTok earlier today. There's a girl that I follow on there. I cannot remember her handle right now, but she is very loud and she is very bold and very expressive. And she, she has the mouth of a sailor, and like, she is just someone who's so expressive. But she put a TikTok out that said she gets comments all the time about how she could just be smaller, or she could just be less loud, or she could just rein it in a little bit, then people would follow her. And she said, you know what? Go find somebody else that's not me, because that's who I am. And I'm not going to, make myself smaller just to make somebody follow me or to make somebody happy. And I think that for you, that's a big part of what your shadow is you might feel that you are too big or too loud or too whatever it may be, but you're not. you are you, and there's nothing wrong with that. And your shadow is basically saying, I'm scared to be big, I'm scared to be powerful, and I'm scared to surrender to that and to let it be seen. And I think that that's really, really hard. Of course, it's always difficult to let yourself be seen for who you truly are. But once you allow yourself to really integrate that, which I know some of you have, obviously, like I said at the beginning, some of you have already been doing the work on this. Some of you need these messages because you don't know what that shadow is, or you don't know how to integrate it. And it's about going in there and looking at yourself and saying, like, it's okay that I am this way. It's okay that I'm big, and to really allow it to be seen. I feel like for this group, mirror work would be really good for you. And what I mean by mirror work is looking yourself in the eye in the mirror and telling yourself good things about yourself, and allowing yourself to really look at yourself and to give yourself praise and to give yourself love, and to acknowledge those parts of you that maybe you feel are too big or too much or too whatever for regular society, and to allow them to be seen by you first, because the first step is allowing yourself to really acknowledge that. And then once you acknowledge it and allow yourself to be seen by yourself, that's when it'll start to show outside of you, and that's when things will shift, and they'll really start integrating into allowing you to be who you are on all levels.
Mm-hmm. I definitely agree with that. I think that you guys have a lot to offer, and it's really hard when you are kind of asked by society and other people to play small. That was the other thing that I wanted to mention, but forgot with that first oracle card that we were reading of the Destroyer, because it was talking. I felt like you guys have such a unique and big and vast and amazing energy, but there's a part of you that is ashamed of that energy, or thinks like, well, like maybe I'm just too weird or too unique or too out there, or I need to be a little bit more traditional and a little more this, and scale it back because I could be too much. And I'm saying too much with air quotes around that, because you think that like, it's too much that I'm like this, or I have too many emotions, or I have too many feelings. And for some of you, I'm getting the sense of like there could even be a sense of like toxic masculinity like within your life, in your family, like specifically if you are a male and you are watching this, or if you identify as a male at all. And even if you don't, and this message can still resonate for you, because you could be a person or a feminine, or someone who identifies as a woman, who is then told that you are too, like Bekah was saying, too big, too bold, too loud, too masculine. And then for some of you on the other side, it could be that you have a very emotional, softer, feminine energy that's very prominent, and you're told that you have to be more masculine, you have to be more this, you can't do this because it makes you look like weak, or I hate to use these terms because I don't agree with them at all, but like I remember back when I was a little kid, things that would be said are like, you're a sissy, you're a wuss, you're just a big baby, you're a cry baby. And now I think the big phrase that I think Chloe Taylor talks about all the time, and how you have to take that back, like power, like re-empower yourself with this word, but like that you're just like a snowflake, like you're a delicate, special little snowflake, and like that's supposed to be meant to be an insult, but you can take that back and say, no, I'm much more than that. And like, yeah, I am a snowflake, because every single snowflake is unique, and every single person in this world is unique, and I am allowed to be big and take up space, and I am allowed to be exactly who I am, and no one should have to shame me for that. And if you can accept that your energy is just big, that you're light, that you're here to radiate such a big energy, then I think you'll find that things are a lot easier for you.
Mm-hmm. One thing I wanted to point out is all of the women. I'll explain this in a second. So you have this very soft feminine with like this flowery dress playing music, right? And then you have another feminine who has these flowy clothes that's in here in this wheel. You have a feminine, actually you have a couple feminines on this card. And then you also have a horse, which again is gentle feminine energy. You have a woman in this card. And then you have a super powerful warrior woman, which this deck has both masculine and feminine. but you have woman on this card. And then the horse again. And the horse is very powerful, but also it's a feminine symbol because it's graceful and it's soft. And I think that that's something that your shadow really wants, is for you to integrate both parts of you, to balance the feminine and the masculine. You can be feminine and still be masculine. You can be masculine and still be feminine. Like, you can be both. You don't have to pick one or the other. It may be that, you know, you are a very bold, expressive feminine, or it may be you're a soft masculine. But regardless, you can do both of those things, and it's okay to be both of those things, regardless of what society or somebody else, your family, whoever it may be, has told you. And I wanted to point out all of that on these cards. So we're going to get into your tarot. So the tarot is going to tell us what your guides want us to know about your shadow. So maybe they will have some advice, or they want, you know, they want to give us some messages when it comes to your shadow and integrating it, which I mentioned this in the first group. But basically, your shadow, Yoongi talks about the shadow a lot because he's somebody who obviously has done plenty of shadow work. I attribute that to the fact that he has a lot of Pisces placements, but he talks about the shadow and how you have to integrate the shadow. You have to accept the shadow for what it is in order to live a life to the fullest, like a life of peace. To be at peace with your shadow and to really accept it for what it is like the ultimate goal, really, because you can't fly high if you've got parts of you that you're trying to hide. Which honestly, this quote makes a ton of sense for you guys, because it's about like flying high and like how it can be really lonely to leap into that air and take the plunge. And like, even though running away is an option, you can pause in that moment and know that it's okay to be scared. Like, I think that that's really important for this group to know that it is scary to fly high or to go above what people say or to be different. And it can be lonely at times, but it's worth it in the long run.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you have the Two of Cups. You have the Queen of Coins. Which, shout out to anybody who's seen The Rescuers, because it's great. You have the Empress. Yeah, again, lots of feminine energy, but like, again, powerful feminine. You have, yeah, that makes sense. You have the Ten of Swords. Oh yeah, makes a ton of sense. Okay, you have True Love, which is the Lovers, which is Gemini energy, and I'll get into why that makes sense to me in a second. The Three of Cups. So much like love energy. Oh my gosh. And then at the bottom of the deck, you have the Queen of Swords.
There's so much energy.
So much. I feel like your shadow is your feminine side right now. Like, I feel like you are being called to embrace your feminine side, whether you're a male or a woman, like whatever you identify as, you're being called to accept that part of yourself and to really allow yourself to be in that power and to know that you have nothing to be ashamed of when it comes to that part of you, regardless of what gender you are. That part of you is very strong and very bold and very expressive and very emotional. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I think that for you, it's really about balance. It's really about knowing that you can have both, because you have, so the Two of Cups is traditionally the soulmate card in the tarot deck. And then True Love can indicate soulmates. But for me, it's about balance. It's about emotional balance. It's about balance in all areas of your life, balancing the feminine and the masculine. But in that you have so much feminine energy that, like Laina said, you either have a feminine that's very, very strong and that overpowers the masculine sometimes because you aren't able to necessarily feel safe embodying the masculine. But I think for most of you, it's the other part. It's the, you have a very strong masculine energy and you're being called to tap into that like softer, more emotional, sweeter, nurturing feminine side of yourself, and know that that side of you is still powerful regardless of if it's soft or not. I actually it's really funny. I might actually pull this up. I wrote something in my feelings journal about feminine. I think it was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday. Let me go find it. Yes. Okay. So bear with me. I'm going out on a limb here. This is kind of personal for me as far as what I wrote, but I feel like it's safe to share with this group and I hope that you get something out of it. But I wrote, do it like a dude. No, better yet, do it better than a dude, says the feminist, not understanding that she's veering on the edge of being more like the dude than she's ever been. The rough, tough, competitive fire approach is seen as the feminist movement, but it really is nothing but a man's world. A woman is soft, silently strong. She can be bold, but it speaks for itself. The feminine is the nurturer, the one who takes the time and doesn't need to open up, that doesn't need to one up anyone else. The one who understands who she is and doesn't feel the need to measure up to others' expectations. The passive of passive aggressive is woman. She is the behind the scenes assassin that has finesse and knowledge. So no, don't do it like a dude or compare a woman to a man. Do it like a human. Do it like a balanced being. The more you fuel the agenda that women need to be just like men or work harder than them, the more you actually fuel the masculinity. And the more we deviate into the delusion that this is a woman's world and not a man's world. Bring the feminine to everyone. Don't gatekeep. Teach a man how to be more feminine. That's when it'll stop being a man's world. And that's something I wrote yesterday. I channeled it yesterday morning out of the blue. I didn't know why, but I feel like it's so that I could share it with this group. Because a lot of people think that the feminine taking power, right? Like the feminine being the powerful CEO and being like, well, I'm going to compete and I'm going to be number one and I'm going to be on top and I'm going to do everything all at once. Like, no, that's still masculinity because the feminine is very soft. The feminine knows how to do power without being necessarily extremely bold. She's bold just by being silent, just by being quiet, just by being who she is and allowing herself to sit in her power. And it's about being balanced and knowing that the more that we accept the feminine energy of nurturing, of emotion, of love, of that passivity, the more balanced this world is going to be. And so I don't want you to hide away your femininity. I want you to bring it forward because that's what you're being called to do. And I know that that's very hard. And I know a lot of you have probably, like we said, gotten told that you're too feminine or you're too in that energy or you're too this or you're too that or you're just being too emotional or too sensitive. And the thing is no, you're not. You're being yourself. And there's nothing wrong with being you. And the people that tell you that you're too sensitive or too soft or too much of a snowflake are wrong because they can't accept the feminine within themselves.
Mm-hmm. I definitely agree with that. I think that that's a very wise message and something that we have to take as far as the, feminist movement goes, because, well, yes, it is great that we are going to put women who hear, other, who are there that can address other women. Like Bekah said, when we push it from a world of aggression and this and that, and like, yes, it'd be amazing to have a woman president if you live in the US, or to have a woman CEO, because all of that is incredible. But it's when the woman CEO and when the woman president starts acting like the masculine that she is no longer being a part of what the movement is about anyway, which is to give us equal rights. And like Bekah said, don't put gender roles on children and on men. Men are allowed to cry. Women are allowed to be strong. Women are allowed to go play football if they want to. men should be allowed to go to a knitting class if that's what they want to do. There should be no gatekeeping. And I think that's something that you're here to really show people and change. Like I said, I would not be surprised if a lot of you who pick this pile are actually people who identify as a man, because I think, and tend to be more, considered more on the feminine, like a feminine man. And I think that we need a lot of men like you in the world. We need that gentle, loving heart, because we have a lot of men who are acting very masculine and macho and not letting that gentle side of them out. But we need it. We need it. And if you have that inside of you already, easily, naturally, that's such a blessing. And you have to see it that way. You have to be able to accept this part of yourself, because like Bekah said, this is about balance. It's beautiful. Yes, you have this masculine side too. That's also really great. And I bet you it helps you get shit done, which is awesome. I was like, but you also have this really amazing feminine side that could be nurturing and loving to other people. And you should be able to express that without shame.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, basically. I know that, obviously I know that I might be coming off a little aggressive, but it's just because your guides are very passionate. So just know that they are all here for you. They support you. Your guides and your ancestors are behind this 100%, and they want you to embrace this because it's so important for your health and for your just overall well-being to be who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to get into astrology. So the astrology cards are going to show us a little bit about maybe what's coming for you, maybe your journey as far as your shadow goes, like where are you at, what can you expect? We'll get into that. It might also give us some more insight into your shadow itself. We have, oh man, Jupiter return benefits, number 49. Well, that's a great card. I'm just saying. Oh, well, this makes sense actually. And then 50 is Saturn return, which is age. So you might be going through your Saturn return, or you might have just went through it, or you might be just starting your Saturn return. And that might be why you're going through this time where you're trying to integrate this. But basically your Saturn return is from ages about 27, 28 to age 30. Anytime within there. Basically what happens is Saturn returns to the place that it was at when you were born. It takes about 28 to 30 years for that to happen. But during that time, you basically go through a huge shift in life. You usually go through a huge shift of values, a huge shift in trauma healing, a huge shift in going through and changing everything basically that's going on around you, but mostly the stuff that exists where Saturn is in your chart. So for example, for me, my Saturn is in Aquarius and it's in my 11th house. So I was lucky because the house and sign lines up. But basically that means social groups, friendships, anything that has to do with like technology and revolution and being different, being unique. That stuff is where my Saturn is. So when I've been going through my Saturn return, basically what that does is it changes everything that's going on in relation to that. And so I'm having to unlearn a lot of the things that were really hard for me in the past when it comes to those things. I have a lot of lessons there. But the more you work through that, the more benefits you reap later, which is why the benefits card is important. And I know I haven't pulled any other cards yet. They just really wanted me to talk about these two cards. But basically your Jupiter return is when Jupiter returns to the place that it was in your chart when you were born. But Jupiter return benefits is telling me that you're going to be reaping a lot of benefits by going through this work. And if you are coming out of your Saturn return, expect there to be a lot of benefits because you've done a lot of work. And I think Spirit really wants you to know that it's worth it. Going through all of this is worth it for you. Now, I will get you the rest of your cards. Laina, do you have any channel messages?
Hold on, I'm still writing some down.
You have 7th house relationship. Oh, and one misconception about Saturn return, sorry. Oh, look, Jupiter, abundance. One misconception about Saturn return is that you're out of it like immediately when Saturn comes out of what's called a conjunction, which means that, oh, well, I'm out of my Saturn return, so like I should be getting benefits. But the effects of the Saturn return can start 2.5 years before and last for up to 2.5 years after. So if you don't start reaping benefits right away, or if you feel like you haven't gotten a ton, just know that it'll happen, because it can take a little while for those to come in because Saturn is a slow moving planet.
Okay, so what I have for you guys is crayons. Then Harold and the Purple Crayon, which is a children's book. Peanut butter fudge brownie, glasses, gasoline, Roy Rogers, which is a drink. There's something else about Roy Rogers, so I don't know what that means, but it might mean something to someone. Roger Rabbit, Mirror, the song Mirror by Monsta X. Ginseng, Don't Restrict Yourself. Chris Evans and Captain America. Marge Simpson, Marjorie, the song Marjorie by Taylor Swift. And then Right Where You Left Me by Taylor Swift as well.
Oh, man, synergy. Okay, you have step out of your comfort zone, which is North Node. And then so far you have Chiron. Again, makes a lot of sense.
Sorry if you guys heard me cough.
I feel like this group definitely needs to work with their throat chakra, soothing your throat chakra by singing, communicating, doing journaling. Actually, shadow work journaling would be really good for you. Again, doing mirror work, super important for this group.
Chamomile tea also.
Yes, chamomile tea. Oh my gosh, I cannot make this up. Okay, and then you have Saturn. Just so you know, the bottom of your deck is Mars. And I'll tell you why that's important in a little bit. Okay, and then I'll get you your fixed stars. Ooh. Okay, you have Catalhactia, faith and expansion. This is Aquarian energy. It says, water your wisdom with integrity so your vision grows and inspires others to mirror you. Yeah, I know. I laughed. Okay, and then we'll get one more of these. And then your other one is Scorpio energy, which is alcohol, which is poison and medicine. In order to heal, we first must shed our pain and fear. I'm putting that right next to Chiron. Oh, and then the bottom of the deck I'm supposed to show you is willpower and vulnerability. Strength and fragility teach us how our vulnerability is purely a blessing. That was Regulus, is the star system. Okay, so, oh my goodness, with your astrology. Okay, so yes, you've probably already been going through a lot. A lot of you are already in your Saturn return or have been in your Saturn return for a while, or you just came out of it. Because you have Saturn return, you have Chiron, which is the wounded healer. It's your biggest soul wound. You have Scorpio energy here, you have your North Node, and you have 2 Jupiter placements, which is all about abundance, expansion, luck, receiving special talents, gifts, things like that. 7th house is relationship, which is ruled by Libra traditionally. I would take a look at your own astrology chart and see what's in your 7th house. Some of you actually have Saturn in your 7th house, which is really hard because that has to do with commitments and relationships. So you might have gone through a really difficult time when it comes to actual like partnerships, business partnerships, relationships, legalities, fairness, equality. Again, equality is a big one for this group. Balance. So you might have gone through a lot when it came to that. Check your Chiron as well. That could be in your 7th house, or it could just be that Chiron is very, very important. I feel for some of you, Chiron's actually in your first house, which is the house of self, and how you see yourself, your self-image, or it could be conjunct with your sun, or it could be conjunct with your Saturn or your Jupiter placement. So that's something to look at as well. But for a lot of you, this is your biggest soul wound. This feeling of needing to hide away a part of yourself and having a hard time integrating that part of yourself is a huge soul wound for this group. And it may be that it's kept you from being with people that you care about. It may be that it's been made it difficult for you to be in relationships and be in those situations. But Spirit's telling you, like, you've been working on this, or if you haven't, you're going to be working on this. And this is going to lead you to those partnerships, to those relationships, to abundance, to having everything that you need to feel good about yourself. Because if you have that faith and you allow for that expansion, that's really going to allow you to open up to people, to open up to the world around you, so that you can let things like love and compassion and tenderness into your life, because you so need that. It's about getting away from your south node. It's about getting into that north node, getting into what are you meant to do with this life? And I feel for a lot of you, it's to be unique. It's to be special. It's to show people that you can be both. You can be both energies. You can balance those energies. And it's about shedding those things that are really, really hard for you first, the pain and the fear, to go through that and to go into that shadow and to shed that. That's what's going to bring you into this place of feeling complete, of feeling whole. And it's all about what's going on within you, and not about what other people can bring you, or what other people think, what other people say, the validation from outside. It's not about that. It's about validating yourself and knowing that you're worthy just as you are, and for all of who you are.
Yes, I fully agree with that. I only have one more channeled message for you guys, which is Syrian starseeds. I was told for you guys to look into them, that they might really resonate with you and like help you feel more at home in yourself. I don't really know a lot about specific starseed groups, so I really can't give you very much information. But that's that's just a message that came through. So for some of you, if that sounds like it resonates with you, then definitely look into it. And if you want, let us know about it in the comments, because we're always interested to learn more.
Definitely. So that's what I had for you for the astrology section. But yes, definitely you have a lot of abundance, a lot of relationships, a lot of commitment, a lot of really good blessings to look forward to. They didn't really give us a time frame. 7th house is generally in about mid-October to like late November, if you want to look at like astrology timing. Libra / Scorpio season is 7th house energy. But again, you need to look at your own 7th house to see what signs are there and where it's, what's going on in that house, basically, to tell you. But as far as timing goes, I think they just want you to know that regardless of the timing, there's going to be beautiful things coming for you. Okay. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to get into these little stickers, and they all are word stickers. So they all have little phrases or little pieces of information on them. They might be able to give you confirmation. They could give you timing potentially. But for the most part, they should just give you some encouraging words of wisdom, or maybe some encouragement in general. So I'll go ahead and get some of these. Okay, that's plenty. There's a lot in here, so I have to be very careful. Otherwise, they would probably give you the whole thing. Okay. So, hold on. Okay, we have choose to see the good. We have magical Christmas wishes. So Christmas time could be important for you. We have, this is what family looks like. And I feel for a lot of you, you'll be creating your family. So if you don't have a good family system, I hope you know that you will be able to create that for yourself if that's something that you desire, whether that means like with your friends, with, with an actual significant other, with kids, with pets, whatever that may be. With brave wings, she flies. Yes, and it does take a lot of bravery to put yourself out there and to accept all the parts of yourself. A beautiful home. Hello, my darling. Yeah, for some of you, it's a relationship that you're calling in by being who you are. The journey is the destination. Some of you have strong Sagittarius placements, or you might have a Sagittarius North Node. My sweetheart. Start doing things you love. Yeah, if there's a hobby or something that you're afraid of doing because you feel like it's going to be perceived as too out there or too feminine or too masculine or too much, just do it anyway, because that's what you're meant to do. Finders keepers. That's really soft. All her dreams would come true. Yes, I feel like that's supposed to be encouragement for you to know that all of your dreams can come true. You have do what you love and love what you do. Don't forget to fly. Miracles happen when you believe. I have the Polar Express in my head, so again, Christmas time could be important. Believe in the magic. Hold on tight to your dreams. The only chance we had. There's a song called Everything We Had, and I don't remember who it's by. I'll have to look it up. But I think, yeah, I'll look it up. Peace, love, and joy. Never give up. Enjoy today.
Everything we had by sorry. Everything we had is by the Academy is.
Thank you. The magic masterpiece. Increase our happiness. And create art. And I feel like a lot of you are artists in some way, shape, or form, whether that be through like actual like physical 3D art, 2D art, music, or just in general. I feel like a lot of you are creative types. And a lot of you, there's so many messages here about like magic and dreams and holding on to your dreams and having faith in yourself and not being afraid to fly. This don't forget to fly goes right along with this whole I'm afraid flying high is terrifying. Like, don't be afraid to fly. Surrender to it and allow yourself to spread your wings and to really go after your dreams and to believe in yourself and know that you can do it, and that just allow the wind to take you where you're meant to be, because you have a lot of dreams and you have a lot of magic, and your team, like your spiritual team and your ancestors, really want to bring in that magic, and they want to bring in miracles and all of the beautiful like safe feelings of home and family that you desire. And so I feel like you guys just need to know that you're doing a great job and that it's really hard to integrate your shadow, but you have so much good stuff coming for you, or that is already starting to show up for you. And so you should believe in yourself because you deserve it.
That's super soft, and I agree. One thing, I can't remember the song maybe Bekah knows it, but do you know that song that goes like, how bizarre, do 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 do?
No.
Okay, well, anyway, there's a song that goes like that. It's an old song, and it seems like it's important. Like, maybe look it up for some of you guys. Can't think of it right now, but I definitely agree with all those messages, and I think you guys have a great, like, it's actually, you guys kind of have like a soft shadow, if I'm being honest, which is kind of cute. So I think it's really just most important that you guys accept it. And like Bekah said, when you do, all these great things, like those connections and these relationships are going to come forward for you.
Yeah, definitely. So we're going to shuffle you out some handmade oracles as the last step today. We have 2 different types. So I'm actually going to switch these sides. So these are quotes from Yoongi. So these are all things that he said. He's super wise. So I'm really excited to see what you guys get. And you get 3 of these. And then you also get 3 of these, which these are songs that Yoongi has written, produced, performed. These are all his songs. And then each one has channeled messages along with the song name. So these are songs that you should listen to by him. But also these are channeled messages to kind of give you some more either confirmation or to give you more information about, what's going on. So we'll go ahead and we'll get started. So I'll get 3 of these first. Nope. 1. Also, don't be afraid to keep your boundaries because everything we had is kind of a sad song. So if you have someone who's trying to come back in that you're not interested in, or that pushed your boundaries, or that you just, kind of want to go away, just keep your boundaries up. And then, don't sacrifice what you want or what feels good or what is right for you just because somebody else wants to come back in and mess that all up for you, because you deserve better than that. 3 of those. Okay, and I'll do 3 of these. Okay. Okay. 1 more, please. All right, so we will start with the quotes. So the first one is, in the end, some of your greatest pains become your greatest strengths. That's accurate for this group. Sometimes the shadow grows, sometimes it shortens and lengthens, but it's always going to be attached to you. So acknowledging its presence and accepting it takes a lot of courage. So I think that is what allows us to keep going. Remember, these are direct quotes from Yoongi. Okay, and then it's important to really see your shadow and see where it is. Your shadow is always going to be attached to you. It's always going to be at your feet, and it's always going to follow you. So it's a matter of accepting it or not. Exactly. And I feel like with this group, it really is about accepting it and knowing that your shadow is not here to hurt you. It's here because it's a part of you, and it's a very important part of you. And the more that you love that shadow, the more whole, the more fulfilled, the more peaceful, the better you're going to feel. And the more you'll see outside of you how things transform into a more beautiful, loving place. Okay, so interlude shadow. Roses, hopscotch, red, dodgeball, the matrix, time travel, art, music, high society, which is a K-drama, ball gown, organic food, Saturday, 15, 100, Capricorn, Aquarius, infinity, train station, and Saturn. Lol. Okay. You got intro, the most beautiful moment in life. dust particles in the sunlight, old books, road trip, Virgo, glasses, hoodies, Kansas, Halloween by Novo Amor, 44, 11, 2, stars, kittens, sweaters, coffee, hot tea, sunrise, research, notebook, studying, library, lipstick stains, spices, green eyes by Coldplay, and cooking. And then the last one you got is Give It to Me, which I know sounds really dirty, but it's not. It's not. It's about like having everything you want in life. Trophies, Leo, Aries, Instagram, gym, bike rides, dawn, grass, seeing your breath in cold air, songbirds, 77, 8, competition, wrestling, sports, sweatpants, breakfast, milk, fruits and veggies, pen, mic drop by BTS, TED Talks, acting, stage, leaves, and college. So lots of things in there. Basically listen to those songs because they're all beautiful, they're all wonderful, and I think that they all would really resonate for this group. But yeah, that is what we had for you. Hopefully it resonated for you. Thank you to your guides and to your ancestors, and of course to you for allowing us to read for you and to tap into your energy and into your shadow. We're very grateful we have this opportunity. But if you would like to, you can leave us a like, a comment, you can hit subscribe. That would really help our channel out. Let us know what you thought. In the bio, we have all of our social media accounts tagged. You can find us on pretty much everywhere. And we have a playlist linked below that's going to have some Yoongi songs in it. So you can check that out. Obviously, this is a timeless reading though. So if you find this and it's not around Yoongi's birthday, then I can't promise there's going to be Yoongi songs in there. But we will have them in there for his birth week at least. And then, yeah, that's what we had for you. So hopefully we see you in either one of the other piles or we see you in our next reading.
Yep. I love reading for you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys. If you picked pile 3, then you picked this lyric from Shadow, which is the moment I'm flying high as I wished. My shadow grows in that blasting stark light. Please don't let me shine. Don't let me down. Don't let me fly. So these are lyrics from Shadow, which is a song by Yoongi, which is Suga from BTS. So he's also known as August D if you didn't watch our intro. But basically this reading is all about your shadow. So this is going to be about who your shadow is, what it wants, what it has to say. And then of course, have you integrated it? Where are you at in that process? It has 4 parts. So the first part is all about like who your shadow is. The second part is advice from your guides using tarot, which if you chose this pile, then you chose the Intuitive Night Garden Goddess. What is it? The Intuitive Night Goddess Tarot, my bad. And so you have a special deck because each deck is different for each group. But basically that's all about advice from your guides. Then we have an astrology section to kind of show you maybe what to expect over the next few months, maybe where you're at as far as your manifestations go, or as far as your shadow work goes, if you can expect, anything to change with your shadow work over the next few months. And then the last part is some stickers that have like little phrases and sayings on them, and they might even give you some confirmation. There's a couple in there that have maybe some timing stuff on them. Some of them have some names, so it could give you that. And then we also have handmade oracle decks that have quotes from Yoongi himself, because he's super wise. And then we have the other ones have actual songs that he's made, either written, produced, performed, all 3. And then underneath of that, it has a whole bunch of channel messages. And then of course, Laina will be doing channel messages throughout. Now, I just want to take this moment when we start to thank your guides and our guides for allowing us to tap into your energy and for allowing us to read for you and to really get to know your shadow. And then I also want to put the warning out there. If you didn't watch the intro, basically our readings are meant to make you feel good, to give you comfort, to give you confirmation and validation. If you are listening to the reading and it's making you upset or it doesn't feel right, then remember that you have the right to discern, and it's all about your intuition and taking what resonates for you. So if it doesn't fit, don't make it fit, basically. Like, take what resonates and then leave the rest. If you were drawn to more than one pile, of course, definitely check out the other pile that you were drawn to, or piles, because there's probably messages in there for you. But just know that if you made it to this pile, there may be stuff in here that's for other people that they need to hear. And it may be even that if you are on this pile and we start talking and you're like, oh, but I've already been working on that. Okay, well, then you probably are getting confirmation that you've been working on that. Whereas some other people that may be watching may need the information because they haven't gotten to the same place yet, or a similar place or wherever, because, you know, everybody's journeys are different. But basically, just again, just take what resonates for you, because this is supposed to be uplifting. It's supposed to be comforting. And then one other thing is that the shadow can be a very heavy topic. And so if you are someone who's struggling with your shadow, if you're really struggling with going through shadow work and with your ego and with all of the stuff that comes with spiritual awakenings or depression or anxiety or things like that, please reach out to a therapist, a psychologist, a doctor, someone who's licensed to assist you. We are actually not legally allowed to give you medical advice. And we're not, we're not licensed therapists. So just know that the stuff that we talk to you about is to be comforting and to be uplifting. But if you really need that serious help, we totally advise you to go seek that. We love therapy here on this channel. So that's just a little PSA in the beginning, but we are going to get started. So I'm going to start with who your shadow is. So we have, oh yeah, I'm also doing live shuffling. So if it takes me a hot minute to get a card out, just know that that's why. Because when we live shuffle, it does take a little bit longer. Okay, so I think this came out in one of the other readings that we just did recently, but this group got Alethea. Okay. So I'll have Laina read that for you guys.
Sorry, guys, I'm looking for it.
Oh, I feel like that's probably super accurate. You have the unknown, which is knowing the unknown. It's number 5.
Here it is. Okay. Alethea, truth. Our soul recognizes the truth. When someone speaks it, a cool wave of relief washes over the room, and all the facts and figures in the world fall by the wayside. Such is the power of Alethea. It has the undeniable resonance that goes beyond the rational. We can also recognize Alethea by its contagiousness. When we hear someone speak the truth, we see the truth within ourselves and are more likely to tell our own story. Tell our own story. The Alethea card requires us to take a step towards an act of truth. This might look like a conversation, a gesture, a poetic act, or a ritual that honors the unveiling of what's been concealed. Reclaiming your own truth is a way to reclaim your vital energy health, and a sense of belonging in the world. Truth has its own wings, set it free. When light, it is clarity, revelation, and disclosure. When dark, it is distortions, gaslighting, and excuses. To go deeper, it is the goddess Ma'at and Veritas. And then it says Veritas. Sorry if I said any of those names wrong. It is said that the resonance of our voice changes when we speak a falsity. In this light, practice seeing truth as a vibration. It says, Picasso said, we all know that art is not truth. Art is a lie that makes us realize truth. At least the truth that is given to us to understand. So just with this card right away, I think that with your shadow, you guys tend to be seekers of truth. And you guys might be someone that tends to, part of your shadow can be the fact that you have, I love thinking about the song by Taylor Swift, which I swear that I talk about Taylor Swift so much, but she's just so great, okay? You don't have to agree, but you're wrong. But hold on, let me pull up the song that I'm thinking of. Nope, that's not the song. Oh yeah, okay, it was that song. This song, where she says, where Taylor Swift, that says, there will be happiness after you, but there was also happiness because of you. And both of these things can be true. And I feel like that's very much your shadow, is that your shadow tends to, like, because I see this stuff, like the card right there, like I know a lot of the cards in this deck are in black and white, but for this group, it feels very specific. I think sometimes you see the complexity of things, and your shadow can be really good at looking at everything. And I think there's a part of you that doesn't necessarily always like that, because you can never just, for example, right, like someone come up to you and be like, you know, so and so, I have this great deal and this opportunity, and like they said that we can go on this paid vacation, and like it's an all exclusive paid vacation, and all we have to do is write a review. And your brain will go, like your shadow, that part of you that you don't necessarily like, like one part of you will be super excited, and the other part of you will be like, okay, but what's the catch? Like, are there taxes? Like, when we get there, like, gonna try and upsell stuff? Like sometimes there's no, like, you always look past the face value. And I think there's a part of you that really likes this part of you, and there's a part of you that doesn't. Because when it comes to things that make you really happy, I think you get frustrated with yourself that you just can't let it be that. Like, it can never just be like you hear that you're going on a weekend trip getaway and that's it. You're just excited and happy, because there's always that part of you that's like, well, hold on. We have some questions, some qualms that we want to bring up. And the thing is the reason that that's such actually a beautiful thing to have is because you're never like, because you have such a very like vast way of looking at everything, and you're not someone that's going to get like stuck on just one thing. You're going to be able to see a lot of different opportunities, a lot of different outcomes, a lot of situations, and that's such a blessing. But I also understand how that could be really frustrating, because I can see how like other people might be like, ugh, you always bring up the negative and you're always such a party pooper, and like, like, and that could make you feel, or even you to yourself, you're just like why do I always have to bring the mood down? And it's like, I don't think that you do. I think that you add a lot of value to things, and you might make people think of things that they normally wouldn't. And so it's very interesting, because I feel like you guys in this group are kind of friends with your shadow. I almost feel like you guys are better friends with your shadow than you are better friends with the other parts of yourself. Like, you're very accustomed to your shadow and the fact that you overthink things, and that you do things, and that you always look at both sides of things, and it can never just be one way. But it's almost like, I would say the only part of your shadow is that sometimes you're afraid to share what you already know, because you're afraid of upsetting or hurting someone else. But you're very comfortable in your shadow's energy. I don't think it's like a like, well, like I never want to be my shadow, like, be around my shadow. Well, like most people, I feel like you're very comfortable with your shadow, but I think it's the fact of like expressing that shadow can be kind of like where this group gets a little bit hung up.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I definitely agree, and I'll tell you why. So I'm gonna hold these up for you. And I already read this one, but I didn't hold it up. This is number 5, The Unknown, and it says knowing the unknown, which, like Laina said, I think you know a lot of information that maybe other people don't. And you hold a lot inside of you. You have the White Buffalo card, which the White Buffalo card is all about spirituality and having a spiritual connection and being tasked with basically sharing that. You have Patience, which is Green Corn Moon, number 36. You have Epiphany, which puts Epiphany by Jin from BTS stuck in my head, which is Reveal Your Gifts. 6 and 9 and 5 have all come through because you have 18, which is Naked Before the Stars. You have Illumination, and this actually came out together, and I'll tell you why. So you have Illumination and Blessings, and I think basically what they said is you have illuminated your blessing, like your blessings are illuminated, like you are, and also you illuminate people's blessings for them, even if it doesn't necessarily feel like it sometimes. But blessings being illuminated is why these came out together. And then you also have Get Curious, which I don't think is advice. I think you are someone who's naturally curious, but I think you're somebody who, like Laina said, you know a lot of things. And I think that a lot of times the struggle within is that you don't necessarily want to share all of those things because you don't like that. Sometimes what that does is it causes not necessarily destruction, but it causes there to be death and rebirth. It causes a lot of people to go through change, which is really hard for a lot of people. But the thing is with that comes blessings, comes new life, comes new opportunities. And so it's hard because it's almost like you have this responsibility that's been put upon you by your shadow. That's basically like, I have to share these things that I know about, but I'm scared to do so. And then when you don't know something, that unknown, you also get scared. And so I think that it's like a duality. It's just like that card. Like there's 2 parts to your shadow. There's the part of your shadow that's afraid to share its gifts and is afraid to share what it knows, afraid to share the knowledge and the wisdom and the stuff that it has. And then there's the other part of it who's afraid of the unknown. Because you know so much stuff, your shadow is split between that like place of how do I share my gifts and stuff, but like also what do I do when I don't know the answer? And I think that it's hard because you're someone who's naturally curious and someone who's naturally very open. And I feel like this Naked Before the Stars, like you have a fear of being vulnerable when it comes to your gifts, when it comes to your shadow, when it comes to all of that. And you're very good friends with your shadow, like Laina said, but it's almost like you keep so much stuff internally that because you're afraid to share it outwardly. And so I think there's this call for vulnerability, this call for allowing yourself to be curious, allow yourself to know the answers, but then the stuff that you don't know, allow yourself to not know the answer and allow yourself to search for it if you need to, or just sit and let things happen because you have the White Buffalo, which is about spirituality, and you have Patience. And so I think that there's a large part of you that maybe you've already learned this, or maybe you're working through this, how to have patience when it comes to the unknown, when it comes to not knowing the answer. And then, of course, being vulnerable when you do get the answer, because other people are probably going to prosper from the fact that you have this answer. The answers that you get, the knowledge and the wisdom that you have inside of you, that's what's illuminating for other people. And that's what brings those blessings in. And so it's hard because you have a huge responsibility on your shoulders to share the information that you get just by having that White Buffalo card. That tells me that this group is just automatically spiritual because that's all that card is about, is spirituality. It's about basically a spiritual leader in a Native American tribe. So it's very interesting to me because I feel like you're afraid to share that a lot of the time. I feel like you like to keep it close. You like to keep your shadow close like your best friend, but you don't want to share it because you're afraid of what's going to happen when you do. Or if somebody asks you a question about what you're sharing and you don't have the answer, you're afraid of the repercussions of that.
Yeah, I definitely agree. You guys got like actually I think the most channel messages so far of all the groups. You have Moulin Rouge, the song and the movie. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Rollerblades, ice skates, ivy, drum roll, chicken pot pie, comfort foods, shaved ice, Bora Bora, apple orchard, cherry tomatoes, chalk, very cold, so warm up. So like if you're cold right now, spirit wants you to warm up. And then they also said to squeeze a stuffy, like, or a stuffed animal, a stuffed bear, whatever. You're like something like that, something that's going to be comforting to you.
Yeah, I definitely could see this group would definitely benefit from working with your inner child. Like if you are someone who already does work with your inner child, just keep doing that, because I think that that's one way that helps you feel safer to be vulnerable. But it also helps you be in touch with things like creativity and things like that. Also, this card, Naked Before the Stars, makes me think that maybe astrology has a lot of confirmation for you. So if you are somebody who really needs answers or to just be comforted, maybe looking into your astrology can tell you more about yourself and make you feel seen and make you feel confident enough to put out the information that you have. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to look at your tarot cards. So that's going to tell us about some things that your spiritual team wants to tell you as far as your shadow goes. 1 second. And then, of course, like I said, each group has different tarot cards. So you guys have the Intuitive Night Goddess deck, which is one of my new favorite decks because I just got it not too long ago and it's gorgeous. And it's kind of like dark, but also earthy and like, I don't know, cozy. Like it gives me, it's got some good vibes. So I'm excited to use it for this group. Also, I think actually I was just looking at this. So the quote that you guys chose at the very end, he says, "Please don't let me shine, don't let me down, don't let me fly." And I think that goes right along with that fear of sharing who you are, because I think you're afraid to shine and you're afraid to let yourself be seen and to be heard. And I think part of that might be because you're afraid that if you let yourself shine that you won't be accepted. But you know, I think that it's important to know that you should do it anyway, because I think you're going to be proven wrong. Okay, so you have Potential, which this is the Fool, I think. And this deck is new, so it's going to take me a hot minute to get all the cards out, but I'm going to try my best. I went through it and shuffled it already, but you know, cards are stiff when they're new.
Yeah, that's always rough when you have a new deck and you're trying to break it in.
Oh man, I'm not surprised for this. Okay, you have the Star. Oops. Oh, that shot across the room. Hold on. Oh, okay. You have the Nine of Cups. You're gonna have to help me with this one. The Wayfarer.
The Wayfarer. I think those are ages, if I'm not mistaken. But let me grab. It might be a Major Arcana. Hold on, let me grab the
Ten of Wands.
guidebook really quick.
Oh, pretty. Okay, you have the Monarch. And then I'll get okay. And then the bottom of the deck is the Warrior of Swords.
Okay.
Yes, and then the Warrior is the Knight. So the Knight of Swords. Sorry, guys. A new deck.
And
I know the Monarch is the Emperor.
Sorry, the Wayfarer is the Lovers.
Okay, so the Lovers, and then this is the Emperor.
Yes.
So the Fool, the Star, Nine of Cups, the Lovers, Ten of Wands, the Emperor, and the Warrior of Swords, which is the Knight of Swords.
Yes.
Whew. Okay. Thank you for being patient. Okay, so this is actually a really beautiful energy. So basically what I'm picking up is your spirit guides want you to have hope because they know that things are really hard. You have the 10 of Wands, which is the card of burdens, but you have hope for your wish fulfillment, for balance, for love, for meeting the person that you're meant to meet, but also for being in your power. And I think that it's coming to you a lot quicker than you think it is, as far as stepping into this place where things feel lighter, where they don't quite feel so heavy, so burdensome. Because with the Fool, that's always a new beginning. That's a new chapter, a new start. And the Star is all about having hope. Nine of Cups is wish fulfillment. The Lovers is about balance. It's about finding that balance. And yes, it can be about significant others, partnerships, but it's mostly about balance. It's about balance between the masculine and the feminine. It's about, feeling balanced on all areas of your life. And then you have, obviously burdens. And then the Emperor is all about being in your power and is about being in that place of groundedness while still being in that like masculine power, because you have so many feminine energies in here, because this deck is the Night Goddess oh my gosh, Night Goddess deck. But the Monarch, this card is generally very masculine because it is like the masculine in the deck. Now obviously this can mean a couple different things. It can mean that you're stepping into your power, yes, like very big, very big. I feel like that's huge for this group. But it can also indicate that a masculine is coming into your life. So take that as you will. But whatever this new start is it's either happening right now, like you're in it right now, or it's happening very soon and it's going to be moving very quickly. And I think for a lot of you, this is on a mental plane, right? So a lot of you, this is diving into that shadow work and knowing that what you have inside of you is worth sharing and is going to bring you the abundance, the wishes, the manifestations, potentially the balance, your person, whatever it is you've been asking for, it's coming. And all you have to do is to keep on keeping on, basically, because you're in a new start right now. Like a lot of this group, I feel like you're probably like, yeah, sure. I've been in a new start for, I don't know, forever. Like, I don't know. I keep getting told I'm in a new start for like the past 6 months, but yet here I am. And it's like, no, but you are, and you might not see it right now. You might be too far in it, or you might not have the answers that you want, which might make you feel like you're stuck, but you're not. You're in this Fool energy right now. And spirits, all they're asking you to do is to have hope and faith, which can be really hard sometimes, especially if you're feeling really burdened down by the 10 of Wands. Like 10 of Wands is like, I have so much on my plate right now. I'm so burdened and I don't know what to do because I'm stressed out. But if you balance, right? If you balance the the bad with the good, right? Which I don't really believe there's any bad when it comes to your shadow. If you balance the heavy with the light, if you balance out that whole like, well, today I feel really positive with the, oh, today I feel really negative and really struggle. Like I'm struggling really hard. I'm really stressed out. If you're able to balance those energies and to really do the things that you know are the best for you in those moments, nothing's gonna ruin where you're going. You just need to have hope that even in those hard moments that things are still moving forward, and they're moving forward quickly. And you're, you know, those things that you're asking for, those things that you want are within your ability to attain. And I think that that's the biggest thing is you're on the path to these things already. You've gone through this new beginning or are going through this new beginning so that you can get to, you know, being in your power, having your manifestations come in, having wish fulfillment. That's all coming. Some of it's already here for you. And it's not, I hate when people are like, well, you just have to be more, you know, grateful. You have to show more gratitude. And it's like, you can show gratitude every day, but still be really upset. like, like you don't have to just be like, well, I have to be positive. We don't promote toxic positivity on this channel. We don't believe in that. It doesn't work. It just makes things worse. And as far as your shadow goes, like I'm someone who's very, very good friends with my shadow. And I can tell you, if you're going to go up to your shadow and you're going to spew toxic positivity at it, it's going to get bigger and upset, basically. It's going to be like, sure, great, awesome. Thank you for that. You're not really helping me. Like, it's not about toxic positivity. It's about accepting your shadow, which I've said this in the other two groups, but Yoongi, he talks about how you have to integrate and accept your shadow for who it is. And I do think that you guys are really good friends with your shadow, but you have to be able to shed light on the shadow for it to, you know, be seen, for it to be fully integrated. You have to let people in and you have to be able to open up and share your journey. You have to be able to share, you know, what is going on inside of you. If you have knowledge, if you have wisdom, if you've worked through this, you're being called in this pile to share that. And then if you of course, if you feel drawn, if you don't, if you're someone who's stuck in this feeling, like you have to be able to let yourself feel things. You have to be able to let yourself not know the answers. You have to let yourself feel sad. You have to let yourself feel discouraged and know that those waves are going to change because nothing is constant. So one day you can feel super sad, right? You can feel super depressed, like this is never going to happen. And then the next day, the very next day, you could wake up and be like, you know what? I don't feel great yet, but I have hope. And that's just how it goes. You have to take it one step at a time and know that no matter what, you're on a path that you can't, once you put it out there, as long as you're still trying and you're not giving up, you're going to get to the goal because you're on the right path. This is your sign that you're on the right path. You don't have to do anything except for keep moving forward.
I agree. One thing that I want to add really quick before we move on is that when we went to go look up and I found out that the Wayfarer was the lovers, Spirit just told me to kind of, like, I don't know, I just felt called to glance. And then they pointed out a certain sentence to me, which was, love will find you in unexpected ways. And so since Bekah mentioned that, like, you might be calling in what someone seems like a masculine, I think Spirit wants you to know that it's going to be coming unexpectedly. Like, you're not going to see it coming, so you're not going to be able to think your way into finding out, like, how they're coming or when or the timing or any of that. But just, like, you know, it's, again, that kind of like that knowing, that trusting of, like, love is coming, but it's coming in an unexpected way that you're not necessarily going to see. And in the meantime, all you can keep doing is keep going and keep, you know, loving yourself and just leaving it all up to fate, leaving it all up to chance, leaving it up to Spirit to figure out the details. And I think that that is something that's going to be really important. And I really agree with what Bekah said about how one day you can really feel like such garbage, and then the next day, like, you're just like, oh, like it's different now. Like, it felt like it was never going to be different. It felt like this was going to be my life forever, but now I actually feel like I feel a little better than I did the day before. And then you'll just keep seeing how every day it gets a little better and it does this and that things are going to ebb and flow like that. Like you can be on a steady incline for a while of feeling really good and then just have a day where things just feel terrible. And that's totally cool. It's totally okay. It's totally valid.
Yeah, definitely. Like nobody can, we actually just talked about this. Nobody can be happy every single day of their life. Like you can't be positive all the time. You just cannot. It's not humanly possible. And you are a human. So you can't. I don't usually say you can't do things, but that's something that you can't.
Yeah, no, you can't. It's just not true. Like you can ask Bekah, and I mean, like I think those of you that watch us a lot know that like it's probably fairly obvious that I'm a very optimistic, positive, glass half full type of person, and even I cannot be positive every single day of the year. I mean, and if I was doing that, I would be being inauthentic because there are hard days. Like that's just how life is. You're gonna have days that are harder than others, and like it's okay not to always be smiley and happy and trying to just, you know, keep it going and go on the train, like being grateful. Like, you know, sometimes you just have to break down and be like, Spirit, I'm struggling and I'm angry or I'm sad. Like, it's okay. Like, you know, like I was talking, like Bekah said, we were just talking about this, and you know, like I said, like, do you really think that anyone that's ever reached any goal never had a day of doubt or sadness or like, you know, a hard time? I was like, no, absolutely not. I was like, but in spirituality, we tend to preach, right? Like, not us, but not to toot our own horns, but we don't, being honest. But there is a lot of there people being like, well, like Bekah was saying, you just have to be more grateful, or you just have to keep being positive, or you just got to keep saying your affirmations, and you can't think badly about your manifestation or it's never going to come true. And it's like, that's impossible. There's so many thoughts in our heads in the day. And if just one thought derailed your whole manifestation, then no one would ever manifest anything. So be gentle with yourself if you're having a rough time right now.
Mm-hmm. I definitely agree with that. Okay, this group, I said that astrology was important for this group, but like your cards, they're like, give them all of the astrology cards, because I was like, I'm just gonna start shuffling while Laina's talking, and they're just I'm just gonna have to do it little by little. Okay, so you have, these are gonna show us a little bit more as far as maybe timing or what's going on as far as the stars go. I feel like for you guys, this might shine a little bit more light on your shadow itself, maybe some gifts or things that you're tasked with, because your shadow has a lot to do with gifts. You have the fifth house, which is creativity, number 29. This is also Leo. So if we're taking timing, that's going to be late July, early August. This is Jupiter abundance, which is number 7. Jupiter is Sagittarius, which is late November to mid-December. You have conjunction, which is alliance, number 51. 6. So we have 10, 7, and 6 so far. You have the 12th house, which is introspection, number 50, which you had a 5 already in one of your other cards. They wanted me to take this from the bottom of the deck, so things are probably going to look a little wonky for you guys, but the bottom of your deck was 7th house, which was relationship, number 45, which equals 9. Okay, they had me take 2 moonology cards. Again, you guys are getting the most astrology cards, so I feel like it's very important. You have take time to breathe out, which is disseminating moon. And then you also have conclusions are within reach, which is full moon eclipse. Okay. You 2 of the Astro Soul deck cards, as long as that's what they let me take for you. They seem to be pretty adamant about extra cards for you guys. But okay. You have, your first card is Cancer, which is ruled by the moon. also in charge of the 4th house. Traditionally, one more card, please. So far, Leo, Sagittarius, Pisces, Libra, and Cancer. Huh. Yeah, and then Trine, which just came out in one of the other groups. Fluency, ease, talent. Yes, group 1. Fluency, ease, talent, development, privilege, aptitude, self-comfort, temper, laziness, and intelligence. And then I'm supposed to show you the bottom of the deck. The bottom of your deck is Neptune, which is inspiration, dreams, spirituality, and delusion. Okay, I'm going to get you 2 of these stars, fixed stars. I feel like you guys have such a complicated shadow. Like, it's very complex. Okay, you got Aldebaran, which is manifestation and magic. Life is a magical experience. Become the muse of your own verses. I have the song Magic by Coldplay stuck in my head. That could be important. Okay. Yeah, you guys are really creative. You have, this is Aries and Taurus energy, and it's creativity and alchemy. It's called Azoria. Fortune and prosperity go hand in hand, as does your abilities to sustain what you already have. And then these fell in my lap, so I'll take them, Spirit. Hold on. Oh my gosh. You guys, seriously, if you are not somebody that's into astrology yet, I think you should probably look into it because they're very adamant that I keep giving you these cards. Okay. So you have Azamek, which is healing and dissolution. This is Virgo and Libra energy. It says treat your healing with resilience and rub your bruises gently. And then you also got Alpheka, which is fulfillment and serenity. Watching things grow at their own pace can be more rewarding than attaining them. I feel like you guys are being super called out right now. And then I'm supposed to show you the bottom of the deck. I'm not going to leave it out, but I'll show it for you. It has Scorpio and Sagittarius, and it's called Ixola, which is birthing and safeguard. Sacred is the divinity contained in your skin. The blood running through your veins is simply a miracle. Okay. We got a lot to unpack here. Just saying. So as far as timing goes, they're not really giving me much timing. Cancer season is late June to mid-July. And then Leo season is, of course, mid-July through mid-August. And then obviously I already told you that Jupiter is Sagittarius. So that's going to be down in the late November, mid-December range. 12th house is Pisces season, which we are currently in. If you're watching this real time, of course, this is a timeless reading. So take that as it resonates. But the 12th house is traditionally ruled by Pisces. So, well, Neptune, which is in charge of Pisces. So that would be around now. 7th house is traditionally ruled by Venus, which is Libra. If you're looking at 7th house, which of course is mid to late September through middle of October. So lots of options if you're looking at timing. Now, obviously, we had additional signs over here, but I'm not going to take those as timing because they're fixed stars. Okay. Taking time to breathe out and conclusions are within reach. These are the 2 focal points because basically Spirit is saying, like, you need to take care of yourself right now. If you need to take time away, take time away. If you need to take alone time with this 12th house, take alone time. Get in your own energy and allow yourself to take all the time that you need to do any healing, to do any shadow work, to do any creative ventures that you have. Because right now, that's going to be the thing that really helps you through this time. So if you need to take time, you need to tell the people around you, obviously, but taking time to yourself is so important. even this conjunction card, it says alliance, because basically what a conjunction is in astrology is when two planets are so close together that they basically form like a super planet. It's kind of like if you take those two planets and like mash them together, like that's the energy that you get from a conjunction. It's the strongest aspect in astrology. And it's not necessarily positive or negative. It's just showing you that those two planets are very strong. Like they create a strong energy in your chart. So with alliance, that's telling me, you know, you need to work with other people in the sense of when you are able to work with other people and you want to put in the creativity and you want to put in that time with them and spend time with them, do that. But when you need time alone and space to yourself, you need to communicate that to the people that you love and then do it, because that's something that's going to show yourself and your shadow and your inner child and your ego that you love yourself enough to take the time that you need. And in doing so, that's going to help you really heal anything that might, you know, that might be really difficult right now, because there are some difficult energies right now. I read something about Pisces season on Twitter and how every Pisces season, this astrologer notices that a ton of people go through a lot of spiritual healing, because Pisces is a very spiritual sign and it is all about like the hidden stuff, the stuff that, again, like your shadow. Pisces is very associated with the shadow, not as much as Scorpio, but still pretty associated with the shadow, because it is about your addictions and the hidden stuff that you don't want people to know necessarily. And with Pisces, it's about the fact that you get to express that through things like creativity, allowing yourself to move through music, through art, through anything that lets you get your body moving. Like that's going to help you move all of the stuff that maybe feels a little stuck or that maybe is causing you to feel burdened. Let other people take stuff off of your plate, because you have enough on your plate as it is. And so if you can't do something, you need to speak up and say that. If you need your private time, take it, because there's a lot coming for you. You're going to find those conclusions. You just have to breathe and take it slow. You have manifestation and magic, fulfillment and serenity, creativity and alchemy, healing and dissolution. Like those are all forward moving things. So it is really about having that faith. I haven't even touched on the 7th house relationship card, which is about commitment. And so I feel like for those of you that are in here, you see these two hands and they're tied together. And the thing is I think that you have more support than you think you do. But for some of you, that's showing you that your person is coming. If you're somebody who's been manifesting somebody, they're coming. Just like we talked about in your tarot, it may be in an unexpected way and you may not realize it for, you know, at first, but they are coming. And so is your abundance. And so are these conclusions that you need. And I feel like for most of you, your conclusions are internal. Like you have a lot of introspective energy. And I feel like a lot of the things that you're working on are actually your own things, like your own internal world, and not necessarily like your outer world. I feel like this group is focusing a lot on manifesting things like peace and hope and belief and harmony and, you know, happiness. Like I feel like you're working on manifesting things for yourself that are not external, if that makes sense. And I think that that's a really beautiful thing. And I think spirit is fully supportive of that. But you also have to realize that when you manifest those things, that's going to bring up anything internally that you're ready to let go of in order to make room for those things internally. So if you are going through a really hard time with shadow work right now, just know that the fact that you can acknowledge that and say, I need time to myself because I'm going through a lot, that in itself shows your shadow that it's worthy of being seen. And that's how you start accepting it.
Mm-hmm. I definitely agree with that. You guys have a lot of like powerful like energy that comes from your shadow, and I just think that the more that you harness it, the more that you're going to see that you can actually help a lot of people by letting yourself fully be seen and actually letting yourself shine. I want to add just a couple more channel messages that came through for you guys. You guys got which is funny because Bekah was mentioning movement. and I channel dancing, aerobics, and Tai Chi, and then shake your booty. So yeah, spirit wants you to move your body because I think it's going to help you a lot with your energy. You also got Don't Stop Believing by Journey, a squawking sound. I have no idea why there was a squawking sound, but there was a squawking sound. A telescope, and then this is really random, but I saw it, so I'm writing it down, but toilet paper. So if you were like a shopping list and you were like, what's that thing I forgot? Perhaps it was toilet paper. Perhaps you were out of toilet paper on your list. I do not know.
Well, hopefully you're not out of toilet paper. You know, and if you are, I hope you have some very nice neighbors that will lend you some until you can go back to the store. And by lend you some, I mean give you some, because lending is gross when it comes to toilet paper.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now, so usually we would do regular stickers here, but today I decided that since this is about your shadow, and Yoongi is a man of very few words, but when he does talk, he's very wise, usually. Sometimes not, but most of the time, the words that come out of his mouth are pretty wise, unless he's being funny or, you know, just being silly. But I decided that words would be better. So we are going to shuffle from my word stickers, which every group got different ones. I don't put them back after the reading until after, and then I shuffle really well. So these could have confirmation, or they could just be reassuring messages. That's plenty. But we'll go through those, and then we'll get your special oracles. But
before Bekah,
okay.
I just want to point out that I looked at the clock when she grabbed the sticker box, and it was 222. So that could be a special message for some of you guys, or a confirmation.
Mm-hmm. Also, 2 is the number of unity, partnership. So just want to throw that out there. Okay, you have, oh my gosh, you have Don't Forget to Fly.
Lol.
Which Don't Let Me Fly and I'm Flying High are in your quote. You have Hold On Tight to Your Dreams.
Don't stop believing.
Mm-hmm. Collector of Memories. My cat says hi. The ordinary is often the extraordinary. Oh my gosh. This is a different sticker set, but what seems ordinary is often the extraordinary.
Oh.
See possibility everywhere. That makes me think of the song from the Cinderella with Brandy. There's a song that's like impossible. Things are happening everywhere. Like it's
what you're talking about.
Yeah. Sorry, you had to hear my singing voice. It's not great tonight. Gnome for the holidays. I don't know. Maybe you're somebody who really likes gardens and stuff, but like also holiday season could be important. Actually, I'm going to tell you it is, because I'll show you in a second. But you have Let Life Surprise You. So you don't have to know all the answers. Let Spirit surprise you. No journey is too great if you find what you seek. Listen to your heart. It will show you the way. Sorry, guys. My cat is trying to get in all up in here. Okay. There is beauty and simplicity. All too frequently. Okay. I must have yielded to her gentle tears. Oh, that's kind of sad, but also soft. You guys might like poetry. Shine brightly.
I have Shine Forever stuck in my head now by Monsta X.
Under the mistletoe. Deck the halls with boughs of holly.
which is funny because I channeled it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. So definitely important time for you guys.
Naughty or nice. Yeah, I'm telling you, like the other groups didn't really have them. You guys have a lot of them. Okay. And then the rest of these are not Christmas ones, but you have completely undeniable. I feel like that's going to be like you might be getting some proof soon that you can't deny. Like spirit might give you some confirmation or something about something that you've been doubting, but suddenly you don't get to doubt that anymore. Always take the scenic route. Today is full of possible. There's a lot about possibility, which the Fool in the tarot deck was possibility. As if this were a traveled road. Yeah, don't be afraid to go down untraveled road. Treat them like they've already been traveled and it'll be less scary. The love within my heart. And then the last one is the stars before him. So super soft messages. Let me know if any of those had confirmation for you. Okay, so now's the best part. Do you have any other messages before I shuffle these?
Nope, the last one was still toilet paper.
Okay, good to know. Cat. Sorry. He's all up in my business. I'm afraid he's going to bump the camera. Okay, so we have two sets here. These are actual quotes from Yoongi.
Sorry, after you asked that, I just heard from guides, wipe your butt and wash behind your ears. I think
when I was little, there was a Fisher Price game that had to do with Dream Dollhouse. And there was a grandma in that game. If you went into the bathroom, she always said, don't forget to wash behind your ears. And that stuck with me ever since I was like 7. So just, sometimes your brain retains some interesting things.
Yeah, so some of you may need to wipe your butt and wash behind your ears.
Anyways, so these are quotes by Yoongi. So these are actual things that he said from interviews, from, written correspondence, from events, things like that. And then these all have a song on them. Like each of them has a song, and then there's no lyrics, but it's a song that you should listen to if it comes out. And then underneath of that are a bunch of channeled messages. So we'll go ahead and we'll get into it. You get 3 of each. So I will go ahead and get shuffling. And then, of course, each group got different ones of these too. So no 2 groups will have the same. Let's see. Oh, there's one. It's harder when we get down to the last couple piles because they don't want to come out.
Yep. I saw a laughing face with glasses, so I don't know if that is you or if that is the masculine. It was a masculine that I saw, or if that's the masculine coming in for you, but it seems like there will be lots of laughs together, which is very cute.
That's super soft. I feel like your masculine will probably, if you are a feminine looking for masculine, I feel like your masculine is going to be somebody who's actually very attracted to your shadow. Like they're going to love that part of you. Well, maybe. Thought about it. Sorry. They're really picky with this last one. There it is. Okay. And then these ones, there's a couple extras. So these should be a little bit easier. We'll get 3 of these for you too. 1. 2. Knocked one of your quotes out. 3. All right. Okay, so we're going to start with the quotes. Let's straighten that. Okay. So your first one is stay innocent, be naive, but still dream big. Dream big to the point that it is beyond your ability and endeavor to achieve it. So dream big and don't lose your innocence. Yeah, don't let this world drag you down into believing that you can't do something. Okay. It's good to know that it's fine when things go in an unintended direction because you can always start over again. Keep calm, take the next best option, and move forward. That was super fitting for this group.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last one is if you look at the world with an open mind, anything can happen.
Also fitting.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now for your songs and channel messages, we have the song People. And it says time lapse, big city, blue, window shopping, rain, 15, 6, 3, Gemini, Sagittarius, the song I Feel Better by Novo Amor, Jupiter, apartment building, gold, colors, dancing, painting, apron, pottery, mugs, dusk, street food, cityscapes, cotton, clouds, crown, and neon lights. There was some confirmation in there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then you have De Chez Toi. I can't even say it correctly. I'm not good at it. De Chez Toi. Thank you. I want to say it French way instead of Korean. Anyways, markets, long hair, scar, black, night, wheel of fortune, torch, bookstore, dirt road, fishing, meadow, camping, 17, Aries, masculine, 9, Princess and the Frog, Father's Day, IKEA, Bob the Builder, fountains, Rome, curtains, and fireplace. Which I didn't mention this, but the Emperor in tarot is Aries.
Mm-hmm.
And then Gemini was on this one, and the Lovers is Gemini energy. And then the last one you have is Strange featuring RM, which is Aquarius, astrology, art, crafting, yarn, animals, 7, 1144, dandelion, sunset, astronomy, when you wish upon a star, allergies, candles, typing, group chat, Saturn, Uranus, secondhand serenade, guitar, Fix You by Coldplay, singing, and autumn. So, yes. Hopefully that gave you some good confirmation. Hopefully those messages resonated for you. Let us know what you thought. Give us a like, comment, hit subscribe. We always like to hear from you. All of our social media is linked below. If you would like, there is also a playlist down there, which if you're watching this in real time, the playlist should have some Yoongi, Augusty, Suga songs on it for his birthday, March 9th. If it's not his birthday, don't worry. This was a timeless reading. But that is down below if you'd like to check that out. If you were interested in any of the other piles, please feel free to check those out as well, because there may be messages in there for you. Again, we want to thank you, your guides, and our guides for allowing us to read for you today and for giving us all these messages about your shadow. And we hope to see you either in another pile or in the next reading.
Mm-hmm. Bye, guys.
If you picked pile 4, then you picked this quote from Shadow, which is, do you finally get it that giving it your best effort every time is what it means to do your best? This is a quote from Shadow, which is a song by Yoongi or Suga or Augusty, whatever you want to call him. He's from BTS. If you didn't listen to the intro, this reading is all about your shadow. So it's all about who is your shadow? What is it? What is it telling you? What's it all about? And then it has 4 different sections. So that's the first section. The second section is the tarot section, which is advice from your guides. The third section is astrology, which tells us a little bit maybe about timing, anything that might be coming up with your shadow or manifestations, anything like that. Excuse me. And then the fourth section has little like word stickers that will shuffle out, and then you get the special oracles. So the ones that are handwritten, some of them are quotes by Yoongi directly, and some of them are songs that he has written and performed, as well as some channel messages for those as well. So those will be towards the end. And then of course, Laina's doing channel messages throughout the reading, so we will have those. But yeah, So basically, with these readings, if you didn't watch the intro, first of all, we want to thank your guides, our guides, and you for allowing us to tap into your energy and to get some information on your shadow and let us really see and feel into it for you, because that really allows us to connect to to you and what your shadow says personally. Now, if you chose this pile, all of our readings are meant to be readings that bring you confirmation, that bring you comfort, that bring you information, knowledge, wisdom, things that make you feel good. If you are in a reading and it's not making you feel good, if it's making you feel bad or it's making you feel upset in any way, shape, or form, then the information you're receiving is probably not meant for you. Especially if it's something like you've already been working on the thing that we're talking about, that can just be confirmation that you are doing the work and that is the thing that you are making progress on. For some people, they need to hear those messages from a viewpoint of if they haven't been doing the work or if they're just starting out on their journey, because everybody's at different points in their journey and everybody has a different journey. So if it doesn't feel like it fits for you, then it's probably not for you. Now, of course, if you're drawn to this, there is probably some stuff in here for you, but you have to be discerning and trust your intuition and know that it's okay to take what resonates and then leave the rest. Also, with the shadow, there's a lot of heavy energy that can come from the shadow. And if you are feeling heavy, if you're feeling depressed, anxious, upset, and you need to talk to someone, we encourage you to reach out to a therapist, a psychiatrist, a doctor, somebody that can assist you with that. We are all for therapy on this channel. We are not licensed therapists. We are not licensed medical professionals in any way, shape, or form. So if you are somebody that is seeking that, we ask that you seek that from a licensed specialist. Like I said, our messages are for confirmation, they're for comfort, and they're here to give you some information that could be helpful or comforting to you. So now that my spiel is done, we are doing live shuffling today. So I'm going to go ahead and get into who or what your shadow is. And this is going to tell us a little bit more information about your shadow, basically. Okay, hold on. I don't think so. Okay, this one, please. Okay, well, they just threw out like 20, so give me a second. I have This Kiss by Faith Hill stuck in my head. That's a throwback, man. Okay. Okay, you have The Thread.
Okay. Okay. The thread. So it says the path, the vein, and the circuit. Life is a tangle. So much happens simultaneously and circuitously, leaving us grappling for meaning and direction in a network of distractions. When we connect to the energy of the thread, however, we strike the deepest vein in the body. Our whole being responds to its tug. Meaning is pumped through our bloodstream, our mind and spirits are lifted, we remember who we are and what we came into this world to do. Though this happens on the most profound level, it could be the simplest incident that activates the thread. A song, an image, a conversation heard in passing, no matter how confusing and multi-layered our modern lives become. If we're connected to the thread, we are free. Being tethered to it is the only anchor our heart requires. When light, it is the circuit of meaning within the chaos. When dark, it is binding, frustrating, and taut. Go deeper, it is the sculptures of Eva Hesse. Also said, have. You may think you have to find the thread and pull it. Imagine, though, that it's already tied around you, waiting for you to follow it home. Then it says, recall a moment in your life when you felt fully alive. The thread is waiting for you amid the details of that memory. Okay, so for you guys, your, like, it's really interesting because your shadow is your connection to spirituality. with the thread. It is your purpose. It is the thing that drives you. I think there is a very basically it's funny because I think similar to group 3, you're actually pretty like on decent terms with your shadow. I think the problem is that like your shadow is kind of like that friend that you see, or like that secret boyfriend that you have, if that makes sense. Like it's that spirituality, it's that everlasting joy, it's that weird like part of yourself, like stuff that you really believe in. Like it's kind of like that stuff that you keep in the box because you want to appear, you know, quote unquote normal. So if you have like really big spiritual beliefs or things like that, you might like, for even believing in the threat of fate, you might find someone in your family or in your life who would be like, okay, because that's real, but like you really believe in it. But your thing is that you have a hard time accepting it. It's not so much to yourself. You have a hard time expressing it. Kind of, like I said, very similar to group 3 in the sense of like that you are aware of your shadow and you are aware that you truly believe these things, but you have a hard time telling other people that you really believe in these things and then sharing that because, you know, there's the fear of being rejected, being not liked, being told that you're crazy, that you're this, that you're that. Like that's very much what it feels like, because I feel like you get that pulling of the thread quite a lot and you are so eager to follow it. And then as soon as like someone asks you like, oh, hey, like what is that you've been working on? Deer in headlights.
Oh yeah, definitely. So I'll hold up your cards for you. Give me 1 second. Okay, so you've already seen the thread, but you have Metamorphosis, number 11, which is power and strength lie within our surrender to change. And then I thought this was really interesting because you have women supporting women, which is number 22. So you had 11 and 22. And it says, together we can transcend our individual limitations. You have, I'll read the spring in a second, but you have the spring. You have harvest moon fruition, which is number 37, which equals 10. So 1 might be a really important number, as well as 2. And this is 29, which is 11. Samdahi, which is perfect acceptance. Sorry if I said that wrong. Samadhi, perfect acceptance. You have number 14, which is 5, hiding your true self.
Lol. I didn't even read that.
Mm-hmm. You have speak truth. And then you have happiness. So numbers 1 and 2 and then 5 are all numbers that I'm seeing here. 11, 22, 10. So, oh yeah, and then I'm going to read the spring. Sorry, I almost forgot. So let me find it. Give me 1 second. Okay. A red-headed maiden sits at the edge of the sacred waters. She leans forward, seeking out images and answers from the surface of the pool. She has a desire to belong, to fit in with her kin. Stars stretch across the sky behind her, illuminating the blackness. The light enables her to see clearly and to follow the path. Each star is a gift of hope, a promise that a better future will come no matter what. Many waterfalls and springs flow around the maiden. Water is a healing symbol, as the springs bring life-sustaining nutrients to every living creature, both sick and healthy. Meanings: allow water to cure you, release your emotions and anxieties. One thing I want to mention is these 2 cards, you see how they have like masks?
Mm-hmm.
I think that that's very interesting because I feel like this group likes to mask their shadow. So I feel like this group, yes, you're very, very good friends with your shadow, but I feel like you like to mask it, meaning that you don't like to show people like the truest form. Doesn't mean that you necessarily don't show your shadow. I think you do, but I think that you hide parts of it. And I think that there are parts of it that you haven't quite accepted the way that they are. But I feel like you've been moving through that. So you've been working on letting that show more and more, because the more that you've been speaking your truth, the more that that shadow's been starting to come out into the light. And it's like you're being guided more and more by spirit and by your guides to come out further into the light. And so with each metamorphosis, with each change, which with each time that you surrender, more and more of your shadow is able to be seen. But I feel like there's this fear of allowing yourself to be fully seen. It's kind of like there's a comfort zone, and you oftentimes will like take your toe out of the comfort zone and like put your foot out, and then you might pull back in and then put it back out. And I think that spirit's guiding you slowly, like one limb at a time, out of that comfort zone, because they want you to be able to share who you are in a very authentic, vulnerable, real way. And so right now you might have a mask that covers just your eyes, right? So the eyes are the windows to the soul, first of all, which is why that's important, because you may be coming out to a place where you are pretty vulnerable, but I think that there's still a little bit of that mask left. And spirit is basically saying, no, you deserve to be seen exactly for who you are and for what you are. And I think that this women supporting women card, together we can transcend our individual limitations. I feel like you're being encouraged very highly to share yourself with other souls, with other people. And that's what's allowing you to go through metamorphosis. The more that you're able to connect to others, the more that one, they can teach you, but the more that you can teach them. And I think that it's interesting because you have this supportive system. And when I see women supporting women, you don't have to be a woman in order for this to work. I feel like this is very much about the feminine supporting the feminine, and everybody has an inner divine masculine and feminine. It doesn't matter what gender you identify with, because I think this is very much about that nurturing support system, that support system of yourself and other people coming together and allowing each other to be nurtured and healed and held in that space. And that might not be a comfortable space for you. It might be that that part of your shadow is really hard to accept because it's not some place that's comfortable. Maybe it's not something you've experienced a lot in your life, or maybe it's just something that's really new to you. It could just be that, you know, you have traumas around that. You have traumas around letting other people in to nurture and support and love you. But the point is that you have the metamorphosis card. You have the ability to change, and you've been working on it. So even though you might have a struggle with hiding your true self, you always will. That's another thing about the shadow, is it doesn't just go away. You have to integrate it. You have to accept it for what it is and know that it's always going to be there. Now, it gets easier to work with your shadow, especially if you're really good friends with it like you are. Like there, it does get easier with time, but it'll always be there. And you'll always have moments in life where it comes up and says, hi, I'm scared, or hi, I'm your shadow, and I just wanted to remind you that I'm here. Like, it'll just happen. But the thing is as long as you're speaking your truth and you're making that effort and you're trying to come out, like, your soul is meant to be happy. And your shadow is actually not a sad shadow. Like, it's a pretty happy shadow, but it's one that you hide out of fear. And I think that it's very interesting because your shadow is supposed to be the part of you that basically is hidden away, that you don't like or that you don't want to acknowledge. But I feel like with you, it's just the fact that it's a part of you, and it's not a dark part. Like, yes, the shadow is quote unquote dark, but your shadow is very much this one of vulnerability. It's just a shadow that's about letting others in and about nurturing and healing. And I think that it's just that it's hard for you to allow people in. And you might be someone who's super nurturing and super healing and super loving because you have all of this stuff about healing. But until you can, one, give that to yourself and accept your shadow for what it is, you can't give that to other people authentically. And I think you can give pieces of it to them, but you can't give the full amount. And I think that you bring a lot of happiness to people when you're able to, you know, accept that shadow and allow for the fullness that you are. And I think that you're really starting to see who your true self is. And you're starting to really express that in a way that's actually authentic to yourself. And that in itself is the acceptance of the shadow. which is kind of a deep concept, but I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree. One thing that I wanted to mention before I read your channel messages that Spirit was telling me is that for some of you, you might have a situation where like you are constantly kind of changing. And because of that, I think the reason too for the masks and the like the cloak that you see, like the red cloak there, which I think is interesting because I just noticed like the string. So red could be a power color for you for one. And then there's the other red thing up there too. But anyway, sorry, I digress. Back to the subject at hand. Spirit is saying that like that mask that you have could be because like you're constantly kind of on the lookout for who you are, because that's always evolving and that's always kind of changing. And so that could be part of why like you don't accept yourself for who you are, because you might be like, and who you are is probably like you have the metamorphosis. You are someone who is constantly changing, constantly evolving. So what you liked last week might not be what you like this week. And that has to be okay with you, you know, because you might have been called flaky or flighty or this or that like your whole life. And people have always been telling you that like you don't stick to one thing and like you always change your mind and like you can never make a decision and like all these things. And it's just because you're so interested and fascinated in all the things. Like you want to constantly change and evolve and grow and figure things out. And that can be really difficult. And it can be hard to accept that about yourself. But I think that's something that is one of your best assets at the same time, because you're able to kind of probably reach a lot of people and be like, hey, you're not, you know, who are similar to you, but like, and say like, hey, you're not actually fake and phony. You're just different. You just like to change, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like you're a chameleon, and you may blend in with your surroundings, and you know sometimes, and you also are going to stand out in your own way, and like that's totally cool.
Mm-hmm. I definitely agree.
Oh, and while she's cleaning these up, sorry, your channel messages. You have kites, polka dots, unicorns, dolphins, which lol, I just realized there are dolphins on that card. Pine, pine trees, Hobie, aka J-Hope, a nougat chocolate, Paris, London, a chimney, a new house, float tanks, art therapy, working with water for healing, cleansing, and Reiki.
Yes, lots of healing modalities.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I forgot to mention this at the beginning of your group, but if you chose this, you chose the Weaver Tarot. So each group had a different tarot deck. The Weaver Tarot is one of my favorite decks of all time. It's very shadowy. I love it. I don't use it very often because of the fact that it's so dark, but I'm excited to use it. This is going to be all about what your guides want you to know as far as your shadow goes and as far as your shadow work goes. So we're going to see what they have to say. And this is live shuffling. I'm going to do this out here so that it doesn't shake the camera, but I'm sure you understand that it's live shuffling. Okay, we have the Sovereign of Cups, which if I remember correctly, the Sovereign is the Queen, but I'll check in a second. You have Death. I'm not surprised. Look at me being not shocked. Okay. You have the Sovereign of Wands and the Fool. Now, these cards are a little bit bigger than the other decks, so I'm going to do 2 rolls. Well, they're going to be split over 2 rolls. They're going to be the same amount, just they're bigger cards. So you have the Hierophant. 5. the Wheel of Fortune. And then one more, and then we'll do bottom of the deck. Okay. Yeah. The Conqueror of Wands. And then the bottom of the deck is the Seeker of Wands. You have a lot of fire energy, which makes sense if one of your colors is red. Okay, give me 1 second. I'm just going to pull it out just to make sure I have the right thing. Yes, Sovereign is the Queen. So you have the Queen of Cups, Death, the Queen of Wands, the Fool, Hierophant, Wheel of Fortune, the Conqueror of Wands, which is the Knight of Wands, so fast moving, and then you have the Seeker of Wands, which is the Page of Wands. So you have a lot of a mix of major arcana and the higher court cards, which I think is actually very fascinating because you didn't get any small cards at all. So this is probably a big important time in your life right now. But Spirit is basically saying that you are someone who's very much stepping into your power right now. Like you're going through a huge cycle of metamorphosis right now. And like Laina said, you are probably going to go through metamorphosis your entire life. That's just part of who you are. You love to change. Change loves you. You're going to have a lot of new beginnings in your life, but you are stepping into your power. Regardless of how much you change, you're always going to be someone who's very powerful. You're a teacher. You're someone who is probably very spiritual and who is here to help other people learn and to help heal other people. And I think that things are moving forward in a direction in your favor right now, and they're moving very, very quickly. And I think a lot of that has to do with your passion. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that you're finally able to be in a place where you feel like you are filling your emotional needs and you're filling your creative needs, your inspirational needs, and you're able to start using your inspiration and your emotions to help other people. And so while you're going through this big phase of death and rebirth in your life and coming up to this new beginning, this is all teaching you how to stand in your power so that you can help other people do the exact same thing and help other people who are unique like you. And that is what has the wheel turning so quickly. And I think that you are somebody who probably seeks out passion, who seeks out those opportunities to be creative, to be somebody's support system, to be somebody's, hype girl or hype man. I feel like you have been in a position for a while now where you've been really changing drastically who you are. And I mean changing in the sense of uncovering new layers of yourself, because I don't think you can change the core of who you are as a person ever, because your soul is still the same soul regardless of how much change you go through. But I feel like you've been peeling back a ton of layers over time to get to the center of yourself. And that center is going to morph and grow as you learn and experience life. And that's actually the beautiful part of life, is that it never stays the same. And there's always something to learn. There's always something to do. There's always something to try. And when you do that, your soul learns with you and it shifts. And the essence of you, the core values of you don't change, but the things that you love, the things that you're interested in, the things that you're passionate about, those can shift and mold based on your life experience. And I think that you're coming to a place of understanding with that. And you're coming to a place where you can tell, what is it that I'm passionate about right now? What is it that I love right now? What is it that brings me emotional satisfaction right now? And you're allowing yourself to really look at that and to look at your shadow and say, okay, we have to accept the fact that today we want strawberry cake, or I guess strawberry is bad. I'm going to not use strawberry because Laina's allergic to strawberry. So like, I don't like to use that in my analogies. Today you like chocolate cake. Yesterday you didn't like chocolate cake. You like plain white cake with whipped frosting. But today you like chocolate cake with a very deliciously rich chocolate frosting on top. And then tomorrow you're going to like tiramisu. And the day after that, you're going to like cheesecake. And it's about looking at your shadow and going, we don't have to stay the same. We don't have to stay safe in this little box that makes sure that people think they know who we are. We don't have to have people know who we are. We're here to help people stand out. We're here to help people figure out who they are. And so for today, the reason that I like chocolate cake is because I'm supposed to hang out with somebody else that loves chocolate cake. And we're supposed to have a philosophical conversation where we both learn about ourselves and about the world. And tomorrow, I'm supposed to like tiramisu because I'm supposed to spend time with somebody who's going to teach me about their culture that loves tiramisu. And then I'm supposed to have cheesecake the day after that because I'm going to meet somebody else and they're going to tell me all about the world and about secrets and about history. And I'm going to learn about my own past life from them. Like, there's a reason why you're so malleable and so changeable. And it's so that you can learn, but also teach other people. And it's okay to be that way. And I think that that's something that you're learning right now, is that you don't have to be the same person at any point in time. And you can accept yourself at the core of who you are and know that that's okay, that you're going to shift and that you're going to change and grow. And that's just part of life. It's an experience. And it's a beautiful experience at that. And so things are going to move very quickly the more that you accept that shadow. And I have said it in every group, and I'm going to say it in this one too. Yoongi always talks about how it's about accepting your shadow for who it is and for what it is and for integrating it. And instead of trying to change it or shame it or put it away somewhere, you have to integrate it, because that's the only way that you'll be able to really accept yourself for who you are and to move through life in a way that's authentic to you and that brings you in the peace and the love and the compassion and the desires that you want. Is accepting who you are and knowing that you're worthy of things regardless of your shadow, because your shadow is a part of you. It's not separate from you. It is you. And so it's very cool because you guys are coming to this place of understanding your shadow to a point where you can integrate it in order to help other people, which is a really beautiful energy. And that changeability, I hope you never lose that, because we don't have a lot of people in this world who can change every day and be okay with it. Mm-hmm. And so I think that we need more people that are able to acknowledge that and say, you know what? No, I'm different. Today I like pink and tomorrow I'm going to like blue, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Which I can definitely relate, because my room is both pink and blue. And my mom it. She doesn't understand it. She's like, why didn't you get just all blue or do all pink? And I'm like, because I didn't want to. That's why. Because I like both. Sorry. Some more channel messages for you guys that came through were tugboats, Quill, Ingrid, igloos, open your heart and share your divine wisdom. Wear your freak flag proudly and let it fly, and you have so much love to share.
Yes. One thing they want me to mention is that you never have to be anyone for anything. So let's say you meet somebody and then like a few days later you talk to them, but you like something different than the last time you talked to them. And they're like, well, you said that you liked this. Why all of a sudden do you not like this? You can just say, because I don't. Because I changed my mind, because today I like this and I might go back to liking that at some point, but today this is what I like. And if they can't accept that, then you need to keep your boundaries and know that they're not for you at that moment in time. Mm-hmm. Okay. So the next section is astrology. I know I kind of got on a little soapbox there, but I feel like there's a very powerful, like bold energy right now with your energy that really, I think it's your shadow, honestly, that wants you to know, like, this is how it is. So don't let people push you around.
Yep.
All right. So we're going to get astrology cards. And basically the astrology section is going to tell us maybe what's going to happen the next few months with shadow work. Maybe it'll give us some more information on your shadow. Maybe it'll give us information on your manifestations. Okay. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. You have 6th house routine. Number 30, traditionally ruled by Virgo. Oh, that's way too many. Hold on. I know the last group really, like, the astrology cards were flying out, and I know that I mentioned astrology for them a few times, but you guys might also be a group that's really good with astrology. and or just metaphysical practices in general. And again, you may be interested in astrology one day and not the next day, and that's okay. So just keep that in mind. Like, your interests will probably shift, but some of you are probably really interested in astrology right now. Okay, you have, Pluto transformation.
You probably have a very strong, if not a Scorpio placement, a strong Pluto placement, or a strong like 8th house placement of some kind that leads to all of this transformation.
Mm-hmm. You also have Libra I balance at the bottom of the deck. You have Pluto rebirth, number 27. Okay, and then you also have Saturn structure, which is number 24. Okay. Let's see, get you a moon card. Ooh, prosperity lies ahead, new moon in Taurus.
Dang it, I should have said it. I was like, I feel like the card's gonna be Taurus, and I didn't say it.
Oh, interesting. Okay, you have the 5th house, which is Leo, which is I create. This is the house of self-expression and the pleasure of showing who we truly are. Here we see one's creativity and artistic vision, how we like to have fun, playfulness and pleasure, games of chance, love affairs, and also children. I feel like that's really about like your childlike wonder. I feel like you need to acknowledge the fact that you have a very childlike sense of being, meaning that you are very open to things and very willing to try new things and to go into things with an open mind, because I think that that's a big part of acknowledging your shadow is malleable, is that you know that it's okay to be childlike in that sense. You also have Neptune, which is inspiration, dreams, spirituality, and delusion. And then I'm going to go ahead and get your star cards. Hold on. Okay, where did that go? Okay. You have Albotane, which is reconciliation and serenity. In order to be approached by others, you first must encounter your anger. So some of you might have some anger that you don't want to acknowledge somewhere. And part of that might be because you've for so long tried to, well, and a lot of it's probably conditioning, but for so long you might have tried to fit in with society or be a certain way because you were conditioned to be that way, that you might have some anger for the fact that you've been repressed for so long, which could actually explain why I was feeling very like on fire when I was talking about things. Okay, you have, oh my gosh, you guys are going through a huge rebirth right now. You have Serin, which is sorrow and remedy. We tend to mistake our existence for our pain. Open your eyes and witness the divinity within your life.
I don't know which AT song it is, but I'm thinking of the one where he says, "Open your eyes."
Yes. And then you also have Algarab, which is shadow work and awakening. The night will come and she will hold your fear. It is in the darkness when the moon blazes. And then the bottom of your deck is Regulus, which is willpower and vulnerability. Strength and fragility teach us how our vulnerability is purely a blessing. I'm going to put that one over here. I can't even with your cards.
They're great. We don't have to add anything. They already speak for themselves.
I mean, they really do, though. Like, honestly, you guys are going through a huge rebirth process, and it may not be super fast because Pluto and Saturn are both very slow moving. But I feel like you've already been experiencing this for a while. And so I feel like the next big changes are going to be in your sixth house, in your everyday routine and how you handle your day to day. And I think that that just means accepting your day to day being different every day. And I think that that's something that takes time, right? So if you're trying to form new patterns or if you're trying to break conditioning, it doesn't happen all at once. It never does. You have to take the time to go through and actually consistently break that conditioning and put yourself into a place where, oh yeah, it's okay that today I don't like Chinese food, which I don't know who you are if you don't like Chinese food. I don't know if we can be friends, but it's okay if I don't like that today, and like tomorrow I might love it again. Like it's okay if you have to go through and be like, it makes me sad that today, yesterday I was so excited about getting coffee, but today I don't feel like coffee at all. And I'm sad because I really wanted to do that, but I just don't feel like it. And it just doesn't sound good today. Like, dude, just be, just allow yourself to be upset about it too. So like if you do have moments like that where you're like, man, I was really excited about this thing, but then I just don't feel it. I just don't feel it. Like that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. You can change your mind. You can change how, your feelings shift and change. And the thing is like, especially when you go through a big transformation like this, things are never really, I think back to that Moonology card that's like, things are not yet set in stone. Things are malleable. And so when you go through a lot of transformation and a lot of big change all at once, you have to be open to the fact that things might get a little crazy or they might get a little weird or a little wild for a little while. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I think that, if one day you're feeling like you need to take a nap all day, then take a nap all day if you can. Like if one day you feel like you need to, be out jogging for an hour, go do that. Like it really is just about finding that rhythm and listening to your body and listening to your heart and listening to your shadow and your ego and your inner child and making sure that you're just doing the things that are right for you regardless of what anybody else thinks or cares about, because it's not about them, it's about you. And I think that you need to allow yourself to be like a child in the sense that you need to allow yourself to not care about anybody else and not care about what else is going on or who else is going to be around or, oh my gosh, are there going to be eyes on me? Like, no, take it back to being an innocent child and allow yourself to play, allow yourself to have fun, to experience pleasure, to have, you know, adventure, to have creativity, to be artistic, to be out there, to be wild, and to wear two different colored socks. Like, just allow yourself to be more childlike. And the thing is finally you have this prosperity lies ahead. Now, Taurus season is mid-April. Is that right? Okay, it was like mid-April to mid-May. So that could be a time frame for you. Sixth house is generally ruled by Virgo, traditionally. Now, obviously, in your chart, it may be different, but the sixth house is traditionally ruled by Virgo, which Virgo season is mid-August to mid-September. And then Pluto is, it generally rules over Scorpio, which is in mid-October to mid-November. And then Saturn, we just went through this season because Saturn rules over Capricorn. So that's mid-December to mid-January. Now, of course, these might not be timing cards at all for you, but those are some timings that I am seeing. And then I forgot Leo and Neptune. So Pisces season we're in right now. Neptune is not Pisces season, sorry. Fifth house is Leo, which Leo is mid-July through mid-August. So I forgot about that too. But basically, they might not be timing, but that is some timing just in case you're looking for confirmation for timing. But I think that this is more about the fact that right now it may feel like there are things that are out of your reach, but they're not. They're a lot closer than you think they are. And the thing about that is like the more that you lean into your shadow and you allow yourself to go with the flow and do what feels good each day by day, the faster you're going to get to things like prosperity and abundance, because you're going to be following your design, following who you're supposed to be and what you're supposed to do, and not letting conditioning or other people tell you otherwise. And that's how you really allow for things to come into your life.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. The last channel message that I have for you guys is this song, the I Saw the Signs. Opened up my eyes, I saw the signs. I forgot who sings that song, but that song is kind of going on a loop. And I think that's just Spirit reminding you that you guys, we're not telling you anything you guys don't know. Like, you guys might feel like, I'll give you an example about myself, right? Like, I'm, um, you know, in my early 30s. It's hard to say. And I feel so like I missed my peak, like I missed my youth. Like, I'm not allowed to dye my hair fun colors if I want to, that I'm not allowed to do, like, I have all these stupid rules for myself. Even though, like, I really want to dye my hair fun colors sometimes, and I really love my stuffed animals still, even though all those things, and sometimes I shame myself out of liking those things. Like, right now, I'm sitting here holding my childhood bear because it felt really comforting. And I had a minute where I was shaming myself, and I'm like, why am I holding this bear? Like, I'm way too old for this. And, like, that's not fair to myself because maybe my inner child really needs that right now. And also, like, why can't I just like a stupid bear at 30? Like, when did we start saying that you have to stop liking your, comforting stuffed bear at any age? And when did we start putting an age, when did we start gatekeeping when people can dye their hair? And, when did we start gatekeeping when you can dance and sing and laugh and skip and play and do arts and crafts? Like, there should be no gatekeeping on any of that, but we have so much of it in society. And I think that, like, with Saturn here too, like, I think you guys in this group can be really hard on yourselves for the things that you like, especially if they do err on the more childlike side, and you're kind of an adult, you might want to feel like you're mature and things like that, or you don't want people to look down on you because you enjoy the more, childlike things. But, the right people in your life are going to love you for exactly who you are. And, it's okay to, want to play and have fun and, just embrace those sides of yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely agree. And I think that really it's about embracing every single part of yourself, regardless of what, society says.
Mhm.
So if the part of you that you're repressing is your inner child, like, yeah, that's going to bring a lot of division within yourself, because your inner child is a huge part of you. And if you're repressing that, if you're being hard on yourself for, trying to tend to the needs of the inner child that never leaves, then yeah, you're going to have a hard time, because that's something that needs to be acknowledged. It's still a part of you. And the thing is I always say that this is so true. I don't know who first said it, but the whole thing about like adults just being like drunk toddlers, it's really true. Like,
Mhm.
it really is. Like nobody ever actually quote unquote grows up. Like, that's not really a thing. Like, it's just not. You think as a child that adults have everything under control, and then when you get to being an adult, you realize that they really don't. And the thing is like, I don't know, you should never lose your innocence, because the thing is everybody has a little child inside of them, and some people let that child, run the show, and that's not always a good thing, but sometimes. And then some people completely ignore that inner child and are miserable because they never do anything that actually satisfies their soul, which is very sad.
Mhm. I agree with that very much so. And, it's a day, like Becca was saying, it's a day by day process, and it takes a while to break conditioning, but you can do it. And you just have to, trust, faith, trust, and pixie dust, my friends. Just believe,
Mhm.
even if it's one little thing you can do for yourself every day, like, just those little things, like, they add up and they make a big difference.
Yeah, they really do. Okay. Fun. Okay, so I know normally we would do regular stickers, but like I said, I chose to do word stickers because I think it really fits with Yoongi, because he is kind of a poet himself. And I feel like words are very important to him because they have power. So we're going to go ahead and shuffle out some words for you guys. That's plenty. And these can tell us maybe, some encouraging advice or just some phrases and stuff that would be really good for you. Sorry, one fell on my cat's head. I'll keep it. Um,
So on his head.
yeah, he was looking around like, how do I get it off? But yes, anyways. You have travel the world over to find the beautiful. I guess they're saying my cat is beautiful. You have ordinary people can do extraordinary things. You must be present to win. I mean, I guess that's true when you really think about it. Like, if you're not acknowledging the parts of you that are lighting you up and you're just going with whatever everybody else is doing or what you think is right, then you might miss those opportunities. And I know like you'll never actually miss it. Like it'll always come back around if it's meant for you. But I think that what they're saying is you can draw things in way faster if you're open to shifting and changing and adapting because you'll be present in that moment to win.
Mm-hmm.
Adventure is worthwhile.
We're just ordinary people.
Together is the best place to be. Mermaid kisses and Christmas wishes.
Cute.
The journey is the destination.
Ooh, dang, that's deep.
Mm-hmm. One must have patience, my dear. There is beauty in simplicity. To understand. You can do anything, but not everything. Mrs. Uris Pettigrew, which if you know that what that's from, extra points for you. It's always the small it's always the small pieces that make the big picture. It's all perspective. There's a lot about like pictures and beauty. Be open to whatever comes next and being open. Cultivate kindness. We are fearless, independent, and original. Yes, you are. Choose to see the good. Be still. Yeah, in those moments where you don't feel like, you know, when things feel hard, make sure that you do take the time that you need to be still as well. You have never give up. And just breathe. So those are some little tips and tricks, advice, confirmations for you. Okay. Do you have any other messages for them before I go into these? Okay. So the last part of your reading. So these are quotes by Yoongi himself. So you'll get 3 of these. And these are all from like interviews or from shows, from different appearances that he's had. And then these are, you'll get 3 of these as well. But these have songs that are by Yoongi on them. And then they also have channeled messages on them. So we'll go ahead and get you 3 of each. So give me 1 second to get them shuffled. There's 1. 2. It's hard when they get down to like none. 3. Okay. And then I'll get you 3 of these. And then every group got different ones of these. I don't think I mentioned that, but each group has different cards, like handmade oracles. So keep that in mind if you were drawn to another group. actually, hold on. Is that for this pile? Whatever, I'll just put it back in. Okay, one more, please. There you go. Okay. So we will start with the quotes first. So the first one is, take your hands off what you can't control and get your hands on what you can change. That's very fitting for this group.
Mm-hmm.
You have, it may feel like your world is collapsing when you don't get the results you want, but that's not true. That's not how our lives work. What's important is that you get back up. And then the last quote that you have is, it's not about facing your shadow or fighting your shadow, but just acknowledging the fact that you have your shadow. And that's what really brings us comfort and peace. Mic drop. Okay. He's so like wise. It's amazing to me. Okay. Oh, I love this song. You have Dear My Friend. And it's Libra Pink Party 33, Champagne Problems by Taylor Swift, Philosophy, Skincare, Coin Purse, Powder Puff, Vanity, Nail Polish, Feminine, October, Cardigans, Forks, I put a little question mark, Little Mermaids, Cheesecake, maybe you really like cheesecake, Tool, Fashion, Carbonated Drinks, No Right to Love You by Rise Lewis. Oh, you have the last, which is Roots, Plants, Garden, 8, Scorpio, Butterflies, Pluto, Dreams, Forest, Science Experiment, Desk, Mirror, Snakes, Mars, 12, Persona by RM from BTS, Wine, Tempo by EXO, Late Night Drives, Paper Cups, Hotel Rooms, All Through the Night by IU, and Closure by Hade. There's a lot of songs on that one. And then you have August D, Fire by BTS, Chainlink, One, Camper, Bonfire, Feathers, Sagittarius, Leo, Pattern Shirt, Hawaii, Checkmark, Smile, Construction, Hard Hat, Chaos, Beer, Car Keys, Scorpio, Wall, So What by Luna, Charger, Canon Camera, and Garage Band. So that's a lot. Hopefully that gave you some confirmation, and hopefully our messages resonated for you. We would love to hear what you thought. Please leave us a like, a comment, hit subscribe. We also have all our social media linked below in the bio, as well as our playlist, which if you're watching this real time, it does have some Yoongi songs on there for his birthday, which is March 9th. If you're watching this and it's not March, then I can't promise you that there will be Yoongi songs in there, but we do love him, so there might be. But this is a timeless reading, so don't worry if you are watching this and it's not his birthday anymore. That's okay. It's meant to find you when it finds you. We want to again thank your guides, our guides, and you for allowing us to read for you today. We had a lot of fun. We hope that this reading brings you a lot of comfort and peace and helps you feel seen. But that is what we had for you. So hopefully we will see you in our next video.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.